or tablet eyes. I don't know the words. They look like there's some things that just
Words are
should not.
hard. I don't
Well,
think we get enough credit for
I'm just not getting enough sleep lately. I've been
No, I
going
mean
on a continuous thing, and the
that's why the words are hard.
words, the
But I feel
math.
like more people should be leaving comments like, "Hey, regardless of what your review actually consisted of, you said a bunch of words, and
Yes,
words are hard." And I don't
you
feel we're getting enough credit just for all the
you've put a
words.
message into the ether, into the universe, and hopefully that does come back
It
with some sense.
the message could have been complete garbage. I don't know. I didn't listen. I just saw that you said a lot of words. Good job, guys. Good
I
job.
do that actually.
Kudos.
I appreciate it. I like to record myself saying a lot of words. I feel like that's a thing I do.
And I don't. I don't like recording myself. I wish I
You're in the
didn't
wrong
have to.
business, man. We're in the wrong business if that's the concept that we're gonna start our show with. Like, I don't really like being recorded. I'm like, what?
I didn't
You
say I
realize
didn't
this is
like being
episode 123,
recorded.
right? Like
One,
we've
two,
been
three.
123.
I
We've been doing
know.
it for a while.
I
Like
I
just a
said I
bit.
don't like recording myself. I
Okay,
would
okay.
much
I
rather
understand.
divide the labor, and if I can record someone else and make a business out of that, that'd be great. Or
Uh,
if I could
yeah.
hire someone to record me and just take that off my plate, and then I wouldn't have to worry. Did I look okay? I don't know. Just
I
lie
don't
to me.
care. It's okay.
It's
Is
fine.
the light?
Did I
Don't worry.
say
Don't worry. This is just not working
all
anyways.
I
No, I
need
know.
to focus on is did I say all the words? And then because apparently that's the kudos. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Best of Our Week, where two old guys struggle to convey thoughts via language. I'm Juan
Words.
Carlos Bagnell. This is my buddy TK Bay, and we've got
Good more. I was gonna say words again,
a
but yeah.
whole bunch of Google to talk about. But
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
do want to interrupt our run of show because we did not plan this.
Oh no, no.
This
This
is
was the
breaking
hey. What do you want
news.
to talk about? He's like, dude, let's just
because
go and talk Google
because
stuff.
I woke up this morning and TK was like, "Hey, what do you want to talk about?" And he was like, "I don't know. I felt like I got hit in the face with a frying pan this morning trying to put
Yeah.
out fires." So TK did all the prep work, and here I am throwing a hand grenade into his carefully scheduled block of topics. Did you happen to catch the news on Zenfone 10?
Okay, so I'll say this. I just saw the tweet from Snapdragon talking, showcasing the fact that it's powered by the A Gen 2. Honestly, that's my
I
entire
think
blur
we
of the
should
day.
spend a couple minutes. We don't have to
Okay.
dig into this long, but
Yeah, yeah,
here
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to screen share, and we
So I guess
have
today is
tech
happy,
specs.
yeah, happy Zenfone 10 day, I guess. Okay.
Happy Zenfone 10 Day, and
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
is killing my soul that it is already available in Europe, and all we have here in the United States is a vague coming soon. Because I really want to spend some time with this phone, but
I may be able to
by the
help
time
very soon.
by the
I
time
may
we
be.
get it here in the United States, it's going to be past YouTube worthy. The topic will be dead here for YouTube.
This
And so
this has
I'm
been
having
a
that internal
yeah.
conflict. I really don't want to buy one for Europe because I want to use it. I want to
No,
give
no,
it
no,
an
absolutely,
actual
yeah, exactly.
spin.
You want to be able to put some miles on, enjoying and trying out and seeing what the Zenfone 10 is offering. I know that in previous generations, the Zenfone series, specifically the numeric one, has gone through multiple iterations and basically aesthetical changes. This, for me, if I'm not mistaken, looks very similar to what we saw last year. Maybe slightly the material change in
Oh,
there.
it looks almost exactly the
Yeah,
same, and I'm here for it.
yeah, yeah.
I
No,
feel. Don't you feel like so many companies this year are just getting a do-over? Like
and I
last year's
we're
phones,
due for
because
it. We're due
Samsung
for a do so for the lack of a better
screwed
term.
the entire SoC market. It's like I didn't need anything different from the Zenfone 9.
Hmm.
Let's just see what it can do with Qualcomm's latest and greatest. And that's very much what we're seeing here. It's a pretty subtle design refresh. We've got flat sides and a new palette of colors.
As always, yeah, yeah.
So what do we got? We've got a black kind of
Trying to see.
a sort of a dark
Hmm.
blue. We've got that green, which I'm probably gonna go with the green. I don't know why green is my flavor this year, but it's
I
green.
it
We've
would I
got
would have
that.
to say some things have been inspired. Oh, hold on, wrong camera. If we can get it.
That's
Oh,
okay.
for
You're
the
in a
love of
little window
God,
right now. We can't even see
yeah,
it anyway. We
doesn't
got
work.
kind
Yeah.
of like a nice red color, white. It's a nice roundup of different colors here. It's still the same 5.9-inch display.
Hmm.
I
Yep.
think the cameras are the same, but they're touting a refreshed gimbal stabilizer for the main camera. I know that that's one of those things that we point to and say like that should make your videos better, but it's a stabilizer, and within varying degrees, it does a good job. I'll be curious to see how that plays out.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got lots of really fun little kind of graphics here on the Zenfone 10 website. They're what is this? A 4,300 milliamp hour battery with wireless charging. I didn't see a spec for the cable charging speed. Might have to just go down to the actual tech specs.
I'm
but
trying
this
to see
thing
if I
looks
can pull
real
it up
petite.
on some kind of. Okay, so it's not available on Amazon's of UK and Europe. Well, the two Amazon sites that I just hit didn't have that yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be available soon.
Yeah, at DTNL, the only company not getting a do-over is Microsoft, apparently. And
Yeah,
Steve Pogue, do you think this could be a potential future phone for Marie? And one of the reasons why I want to take it for a spin, I think
30-watt
Zenfone 10.
wired, 15 wireless, and 5 reverse.
Oh, that's a bit of a bummer, but I guess we can't be too surprised by that. But one of the reasons why I'm very anxious about this is the big fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think for what phone we get for Marie this year is going to be Zenfone 10 or
Mm-hmm.
Xperia 5 Mark 5. So right now she's test driving my Xperia 1 and she really digs it. It's too big.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't like the overall size of it, but she likes that it's kind of narrow, and she kind of digs just that it's a little like her Pixel,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a very basic Android interface.
Yeah,
It's not a custom
Sony always
skin
likes
or
to keep
something
it
like that.
close to stock.
Like, it's Sony. Yeah, I like. We're being very kind. Sony does nothing for the UI except for SideSense. We gave you this weird little thumb scroller. We're done. That's it. That's all you get.
And,
We're
well,
Sony.
and they also changed the update program, but the process for updating is different. But yeah, no, for the most part, you're pretty much getting some optimizations done for the additional button, for the half shutter button, the interaction with that. If they had the smart assistant button, they'll do that. But I'm glad she's enjoying it, and I'm actually going to be dropping a video tomorrow on using the Xperia 1 Mark IV, our good old. I'm assuming she's using the 1 Mark IV, so if she's enjoying that, yeah. For mine, same thing.
It's
I like
still
mine
been
as well.
it's still been a great phone. Like again, I found ways to sort of appreciate what phone manufacturers did last year, but boy howdy, is it just nice not having to babysit our phones this year the same way, because the 8 Gen 1 was such an
It's
inefficient high performance
Well, I mean,
SoC,
well, we
but
had it with the 888, the 888, the 8 Plus, I want to say, and then
it
of
was
course
the
the 8 Gen
888
1.
Plus and
Yeah,
the 8 Gen 1.
and they all suffered from temperature concerns, and we all had issues with them. The 8 Gen 1 was the biggest performer, well, the one that would impact the most, because it was, again, they're pushing the limit, they're pushing the SoC, they're overclocking, they're going to next levels.
Yeah.
And you just, the heat has to go somewhere, and and then at some point you're cooking breakfast. 8 Gen 2 TSMC implementation, 8 Plus Gen 1 as well. Actually, we're seeing quite a bit of 8 Plus Gen 1s. That's the surprising part, and part of it we talked
TSMC.
about it. Yeah, no,
you,
but
you know that like they had that fab in mind, and now that the 8 Gen 2 is out, they're selling the last year chip at probably a reduced price, and
Absolutely.
the performance uplift from 8 Plus Gen 1 to 8 Gen 2 isn't that significant. So I have the actual names here. We've got Aurora Green, Eclipse Red, Comet White, Starry Blue, and Midnight Black. So your phone is basically a Van Gogh.
yes,
So you have these delicious colors to play with.
you have many
I
swaths
think,
to play with.
did Zenfone 9 have a Glastic back?
Yeah, I
Or
want to
did
say
it
yes.
have a... So this year it looks like we're going for more of a matte finish, and they're really talking up recycled polycarb. And I love the feel of a matte finish polycarb Lumia style. Like back to the classic like Lumia, what's the one I'm thinking of? Not the 920.
No,
Oh, no, the Lumia 930. Yeah,
930,
the
okay.
928 and the 930. Yeah, that's like still one of my all-time favorite phone designs. Yeah,
The
there's
nine
a.
looked like, at least in one iteration, in the midnight black, in the black color,
Oh, you
it
know what?
does look
Midnight
like it
Black
did
might
have
have been a matte finish, but I
yeah
swear the rest of the Zenfone colors were
plastic
glossy.
glass. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that glastic. Here's our little gimbal stabilizer GIF where you see the camera module doing something that looks kind of vaguely inappropriate for a family-friendly podcast.
Dude,
Talking. Well, see,
yeah.
no, sorry. Go ahead. Go
No, no, no.
ahead.
I was about to say, I
I
like,
was
no,
being
man. I mean,
silly.
we're keeping it PG. Come on, like, you know,
We're keeping it PG,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I think Asus is getting a little indecent here.
You know, just a little bit, just a little bit with like little googly eyes there. You know, like, ooh,
Right.
yes, no, I know.
But this is the thing. I've played with a couple gimbal stabilizers, and they do a trick. I mean, like, it is interesting to see how video is stabilized that way. But the second you also add this note here, well, we've got this gimbal stabilizer and a new adaptive
Active
EIS.
EIS, and electronic
As
system
soon as you
standard.
go to a software crop, I feel like we can minimize the costs of hardware
Mm-hmm.
and we can move to software assisted. Once you punch in with software and use that to also help stabilize your frame, that's gotten really good. And I know this phone is not using the biggest of sensors. I'd be surprised if this is more than I'd be shocked if this is a 1 over 1.3. I'm assuming it's somewhere more like a 1 over 1.4 or
Yeah,
1 over 1.5 inch
I was
type
about to
sensor.
try to see here. Hold on, Amazon. Da, da, da. I'm trying to pull up the specs. Of course, our good old friends at GSM Arena. If
I
I
mean,
can,
it kills me because like on their page, it's like 50 megapixel camera, and it's like that's the least important number to give me. I I don't care about the megapixels.
it,
I'd really just like to know what sensor is in there. You could just tell me the sensor. The sensor would be
yeah,
great.
they're. You could tell that from that description that they're targeting a slightly different audience. Yeah, for
No, I know, but it's the thing. Like Asus. Okay, in Europe, I'm sure people are more likely to encounter this phone if they go to like a smartphone warehouse or whatever the name of one of those stores might be.
yeah.
Asus, and I'm looking at the camera here because I'm talking to Mr. Asus, who makes technology products. Mr. Asus, if you want phones like this to pick up more traction in the United States, and you aren't going to spend millions of dollars advertising your phone to be purchased unlocked because it's not going to have any carrier contracts,
Mm-hmm.
you have to empower the tech enthusiasts to be the ambassadors for their family and friends. I am seriously considering putting this phone under my wife's nose and under my uncle's nose because my uncle is looking to replace a Galaxy S9. What phone might be a perfect replacement for a Galaxy S9? I think the Zenfone
Zenfone
10 is
10, the
high
Zenfone
on
10.
that list, especially for someone who cares about things like headphone jacks and having a smaller form factor display and one thumbability on their phone. So I totally appreciate, like 50 megapixels, isn't that so amazing?
Oh, it's the IMX
I
766. So as you
okay,
were talking about it, yeah. So
one
I
over
pulled it up
1.5.
on,
Yeah,
yeah, 1/1.56
that's a good
inch,
sensor.
yeah, large sensor, one micron pixel size, quad Bayer technology, a 12.5 megapixel, 2 micron large effective sensor with a 6-axis stabilization, hybrid gimbal stabilization. That's actually not bad.
Ooh.
And then an f1.9 aperture. So those are the two sensors that we have on the back. Ultra
Oh,
wide
Rico Man
camera.
just dropped it into the chat too. Good
Yeah.
job. Thank you, Rico Man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because when you were saying that it was available in certain specific areas, so it's available in Taiwan, Western Europe, primarily through their own store. They're not even. I mean, there are some listings for some like other like Power Pro Shop, like you said, smaller shops, not even Amazon.
Yeah.
In most of Europe, Eastern Europe says nope. Media expert at Poland, Hungary, literally ASUS's main website. America coming sometime, and then I don't. Oh, America includes Brazil as well, but Hong Kong coming soon.
The Americas. I
The
mean, we're getting
America,
all lumped in together. Yeah,
but
for
they didn't
sure.
say the S, so it said America, and then there was
Yeah.
two. But this is fine. I mean, yeah, it is the Americas.
But yes, we have both Americas, the North and the South.
We be cool like that. It's going to be selling for about 850 euros. And that's
Mm-hmm.
including, I guess this is actually, I'm sorry, I take that back. It's supposed to be 930 euros, but they're running a promotion now for 850. It's a
I need to.
pre-order only. It's not an actual
Yeah.
sale, so it's not available. 144 hertz display, 30 watt. We talked about that part. And
Yeah,
let me see what
Durox
else.
stereo speakers, and then
Hmm.
full support. Like they run the gamut. Full support for Snapdragon Sound, Qualcomm aptX Adaptive.
32 megapixel front facing, pixel bin down to 8 for images.
I need to know
Um,
like what's going on in their headphone jack. I want to know if they're fully licensing all of those recent upgrades from Qualcomm, because the
uh,
Qualcomm DAC gets us pretty close to some
audio,
of
speaker
those.
stereo with direct HD. Oh, they're using the Qualcomm WS5 8835 smart amplifier for louder. That's on the speakers.
Yeah, but for the headphone
Uh,
jack, I bet you we're gonna get something that is decently performant from the DAC. I'll be really curious to see what kind of amp they're
yeah,
running.
their
See if
site doesn't.
you
It
can
just says
bump some headphones
basically the
there.
3.5 millimeter is using the Qualcomm audio codec WCD 938 9380. And then Audio Wizard with multiple listening profiles, Direct Virtuo for headphone spatial sound microphones with two different microphones with Ozo audio noise cancellation, noise reduction. They're not specifying the DAC. They're
Hmm.
basically just referencing the codec. I would imagine it's going to be one of their more performers. I mean, if they even get it close to what they put in their gaming phones, it should be pretty decent experience. The fact that it
The
still has a headphone jack, though, again,
Yeah, the thing that's frustrating is I did that whole Snapdragon Sound partnership a
hmm,
while back when they were kind of getting ready to rebrand their Bluetooth audio.
yeah,
And
yeah, they're
Qualcomm has, you can license gear and
hmm.
you can license parts of their SoCs for higher performant wired playback.
Oh, good.
It's like it's a part of the spec. No one uses it because headphone jacks are basically dead, and even on our mid-ranger phones, it's more just a port of convenience than it
Yeah,
is someone really looking at their phone as a premium music listening device.
they're
And
assuming
it's
at
it's
that
all in
price
there.
point. Yeah, yeah, I know.
It's all accessible, and so that's to me. Even if we're not doing something fancy, like we're not running some crazy Saber DAC in this phone, the potential would be there. And
Hmm.
Asus is the only other company that is, I mean, the only company left
I was
that
gonna say,
was
yeah,
doing high performance audio on their gaming phones.
yeah.
So again, it's killing me. Like I don't want to. Rico Man is making this even harder because he's saying it's 750 pounds sterling in the UK, currently on sale for 699.
Oh,
I don't want to import it. I want a phone that'll just work here on T-Mobile in the United States for our carrier bands, and I want to jump through hoops to find what
yeah, he's
international
right. It's
model
$749, and that's for the
might be the
sixteen
most
five
compatible.
twelve.
Yeah,
Dude, if you go for the 8
yeah.
256, it's 699. Oh
Ah.
my God. Okay.
And like that,
The
it's
problem is
killing
it's
me.
okay, so here's where it's killing me, okay? It's available only and it's only available on their store, which means
Yeah,
it's not available in any physical store. And
right.
it is a pre-order, which me oh, and it also saying estimated delivery end of July. So this is really not going to be this is kind of like almost end of summer, early fall kind of availability in Europe. They're putting the pages. Maybe by then US gets gets to step up to the big boy table, and we get to have lunch with everybody this year, as opposed to just by ourselves. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that bad. It's 144 1080p panel, Android 13.
Yeah, this all looks
Um,
like it's on point.
it's a
I
solid.
like
It's a solid. It's
it
again
is
what we've
it is
seen in the past.
our
Yeah.
our last it's this and the Xperia 5, our last options for that much smaller in the hand premium
Yeah.
style device.
Not yeah,
And
not so many not compromise. I was going to say tailored experience, but yeah, essentially when you're losing the size, you're not losing a lot of the benefit to what typically. I mean, we lost the Pro. We no longer have the Zenfone 9 Pro, right? Or
yeah.
the Pro series in Zenfone. It's a strictly one label kind of a thing. I mean, so I'll say this. I heard about it before. I knew it was going to be obviously latest spec, but I didn't realize today was the celebration. I, my relationship with Asus lately has been shifted from smartphones to laptops. So I'm hoping we'll see if there is ever an opportunity to check out the Zenfone 10. And I was hoping it's available in Europe because I'm about to go on a short little stint in there, but it's not in any physical store or even on Amazon. So shipping is going to
Yeah.
be cuckoo crazy end of July. So no, I'm sorry, my friend. I wish I could have helped, but
No, it's okay.
maybe
I
next time.
guess.
You know, on my next trip to Europe or
So
yeah.
Hassam, this is what I'm gonna do.
Hmm.
Hassam is why, so why not wait and buy it from their U.S. store? So here's
Yeah.
the problem of being a tech reviewer, where your passion and your hobby also rolls into managing a budget for how you buy and acquire all of this gear. Is I'm assuming there's gonna be a first wave. I think Asus is gonna sell kind of like Sony does.
Hmm.
Sony ships their phones to where they sell the most aggressively first, and that's Japan and China.
Japan, China.
Then
Yep.
they ship to Europe to kind of fulfill that demand, and then you get the sort of order fulfillment here in the United States. This year, I think they're aggressively working to minimize the impact of that. But by the time we get Zenfone 10 here in the United States, it will have been out for a while in
Hmm.
other markets. So the value of that as a topic is at its peak right now. If you look at search interest for Zenfone 10, this is the spike where your commentary and your traffic on the phone is at its most valuable. As we kind of get from the announcement and the pre-order to the units shipping, we're going to see that little line decrescendo.
Yeah.
It's going to just sort of descend. And then from other markets, people who import the international phones will have their best chance at monetizing that traffic, and then that's going to fall off a cliff. So
Yeah.
by the time it actually ships legit to the United States, which I'm hoping would be end of August, maybe,
At the
we're
earliest, if Europe is
immediately
getting it end of July, yeah.
we're immediately running into all of the rumors and lead ups to the fall, because you've got all of your like back to school, and you've got all of your sort of laptop and tablet sales, you've got all
Hmm.
of that traffic,
Yep.
and then we're into early fall, and then we're all getting prepped for Techtober to kick our butts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even if I were to just wait and get it and use it and just have fun with it and just just for funsies, I really won't be able to spend time with it. We're going to be rolling right into new product announcements, and we've got to play that game with every new thing that launches. So it's kind of a
Yeah.
bummer, because this would be the perfect summer phone to review. It could have all the attention, and it will, from the European model, have all the attention in July and August. And unfortunately, we're just going to be kind of sitting on the sidelines or dealing with importing it, and that sucks all the fun out of the commentary side of this game. What I might do is buy it and then just do some written pieces on Patreon, because by
Hmm.
the time I put videos together, they're not going to do good traffic, and then YouTube punishes your channel if you're not on the button of the most hot trending topics. So why play that game? Why spend the money to get less video traffic and then have YouTube punish your channel for not being peak?
It it makes perfect sense. No, no, I'm with you. I did last year try not try. I bought the Xperia 10. I knew the
Mhm.
Xperia 10 wasn't going to come out here, right? The Xperia 10 Mark
Yeah.
IV. I bought it. I got a good deal on it for about like maybe 200 or 300 bucks. I got it. I really liked the phone. Never got a chance to use it. It sat there and it's still sitting there,
Yeah.
and I can't do anything with it. Um,
Mhm.
it was, in hindsight, a bad decision to buy it. It was exciting for the very short time of me getting it. It wasn't exciting
Yeah.
because the reality is it's importing it from a market that it was never going to launch in. It was for me more about I got a chance to play with the 1 Mark IV, the 5 Mark IV. What does the 10 Mark IV do that's different? And yeah, so it's a tough conversation. You're right. And especially when like companies release phones, but then they release them in regions and specifically
Mhm.
then start doing this whole as if it's an announcement or a launch in multiple different areas where in reality the phone's already been launched
Yeah.
because other tech reviewers either bought it or bought the
And
international.
and the
Yeah.
thing is, like, I don't know what fixes that, because I also don't think the Motorola strategy works.
Hmm.
It's an Edge over here, but it's
Ultra.
another phone
Oh
over
yeah.
there. And, like, it's the same phone. You just put a different label on the just that. I don't feel like that fixes the issue either.
I will
So
say this. I think the Razer Plus is really more of an ultra than it is a plus because there is another version of it.
But again,
yeah, I know. It's the same phone.
if we're
It's
trying
just
to play SEO games with device names, so that when it launches in a new region, it feels like it's a new thing.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, you can kind of get away with that with the way that you do other company labels, like all of the various BBK brands or all of the various Xiaomi brands, and like, oh well, this Reno is really a refresh of this other phone with the exact same components, but the casing is different and the box looks different. So at least when I do my unboxing, it looks like something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the perpetual ennui of
Hmm.
being a tech reviewer. Is I just want to use it, and this one I just think would be fun, but it's not going to be a part of the business of being a tech reviewer, and that kind of hurts my soul because that's exactly what I'm trying to do,
Hmm.
is talk about these products. But I also know like YouTube isn't going to help that.
No,
YouTube is
no.
going to stomp on my neck if I'm not like on the immediate pulse of whatever I'm trying to talk about. So anyway, that's just me being cranky. I'm really stoked to see Zenfone 10. I
Hmm.
wish they were making more noise. Like, I wish these companies would find any opportunity they could to engage in a little marketing or advertising.
I
It,
think, yeah,
it
especially for
it's a
these for this series, yeah.
it's a story to tell, and I don't feel like they're leading that conversation. I don't think they're leading that story, and it's kind of a bummer. It makes you feel a little left out.
It's yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. And we'll have to. My hope is something. No, I mean the reality is with this is pretty. Yeah, you're reading it pretty much how it's going to play out. It is what it is because they put their cards on the table, right? We've seen this with their ROG gaming phone as well, releasing in Europe first before it comes to the US. Now, at least with that one is a little bit different because there's different angles, different perspective that you can jump into if you're into the gaming experience because they typically release custom editions as well. But Zenfone doesn't typically get it very much covered on, especially with any kind of custom. It's supposed to be the more budget version of their devices.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also kind of wondering if it's selling for like 750 pounds. That's still in the 800s for us. So it's really
Yeah,
still shooting
yeah.
into that
This is
800 price point area.
But I mean, I feel like this is right on the pulse. This is primed to do battle with the Galaxy S23 and an
Hmm.
iPhone 14,
Hmm.
not an iPhone 14 Plus, an iPhone 14. It's priced undercutting those.
Hmm.
I you know
Got to turn
I
off notifications, but yeah, sorry.
How dare you? How dare you be getting morning communications? But again, it's getting that message out there,
Yeah,
and
no,
that's incredibly difficult, and especially when tech. So I'm just looking on the YouTubes. I just wanted to see because obviously all of our
all of our friends
YouTube
probably.
subscription feeds
Hmm.
are all packed with this. Zenfone 10 unboxing and 2-week review from TechSpert, 7,000 views. Dave 2D Zenfone 10 review, the Battery King. Doubt, I doubt that. It's a little phone. That's not the main selling point of a little phone, but Dave 2D is doing pretty good, 61,000 views. The Tech Chap, the Compact King is back, 4,000 views. And then Mr. Who's the Boss? Why nobody buys small phones? 256,000 views. That's his video holding up the Asus
In a,
Zenfone
in a in
10.
a in a miniaturized version of what it actually is
It,
supposed to look like. But yeah,
GSM Arena's review, 3,000 views. Created by Ella, 3,000 views. C4E Tech, 3,000 views. Even SuperSaf, 4,000 views. And Josh Vergara, 1,600 views.
oh, he got the nice blue one. Nice.
Mr. Who's the Boss? Why nobody's gonna buy this phone? 256,000 views on the morning of the Zenfone 10 release. So I'm sure we're getting appropriate
And he
commentary
and he
that's going to
drops the
be
phone in the first frame, so that was fun. Okay.
educational and help people make an informed purchasing decision on the pros and cons and the nuances of how gadgets work. That's the video that is eclipsing the entire rest of the conversation on YouTube right now. It's great. It's great. Our hobby is doomed.
It's a very. I will say though, my hats off to Dave 2D on his thumbnail. That
Dude.
was a killer thumbnail. I like the thinking behind that, it's nice. I'll say that it's nice. I love that. It's clean, it's popping, it's nice. But other than that, yeah, Tech Chap in there. C40 Tech.
Is
I'm
that what our
surprised
channel
still.
is going to be? Maybe
We
we just
comment
turn our
on things.
podcast into thumbnail review.
Photo reviews, like so. Techspert's been doing his normal, hero shot. We love that, of course. Thank you, Techspert, for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
For that.
He's like, again, the one time I held the phone closer to the camera and I was vaguely out of focus, someone accused me of copying and ripping him off, and you're like, okay, I guess only he's allowed to do that now.
Yeah, and then of
I
course,
do kind of like Tech Chap showing the phone coming out of a pocket.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
did big traffic for me on the LG V60, where I was pulling it out of a back pocket. People liked that back pocket
That
shot
is
a lot.
Although I will say this though, I will have to have conversation with him over the way he put his phone in his pocket, because I think it should be cameras down, not cameras up. But that's
Oh,
just a personal
interesting.
preference. Yeah, we can have
See,
a
no, no,
nice.
I agree with you, because when you go to pull it out of your pocket, you immediately touch the cameras.
Absolutely.
You're
Otherwise,
gonna get
yeah,
fingerprint smudges all over it.
all over the
You're
place.
you're right on point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. But I understand what he's doing. He's doing it for the thumbnail. It's there. But it's just. Sorry, yeah, I know. I don't want to
So
do that. I don't want to turn this into a commentary on things.
yeah,
But I'm
I'm not
surprised
gonna
a
look
little
at
bit
these.
on
The only thing I can't find, I was actually trying to find, like, does ASUS?
post
So
the launch event. You mean?
yeah, their own. So they do a launch event highlights video. But I'm just trying to see, like,
Let's see. Does it actually show up if you just type in ASUS?
so they only have.
Oh, they
Oh no,
do.
they do.
They do. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, okay. So here's
It's a
I'm
60-minute highlight for
no,
launch.
no, no. Let me say. Let me show what I'm
Let me
kind of
say,
talking
Mama,
about here.
Mama, Musa. Sorry. 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 It's a bad morning.
Hey,
For,
on the way.
demonetization. No, we're not
That's
monetized.
great.
Don't worry about it.
And I'm sure we're gonna get canceled for that.
Oh, we're getting an email about this. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure some
I
kind
was
of
almost
recording
a
company is
dance
like, you ripped us off
minor in
badly.
college, and I did a whole lot of step and African and gumboot, and I don't lay claim to any of that. Those are not my art forms to champion, but I have a high respect for the promotion and production of that content. Here, let me screen share this here real quick.
Please. Let's bring in YouTube
where is
into. Oh wow! Look at that Inception. YouTube within YouTube.
So what I'm illustrating here, I went down this deep dive, not necessarily to look for all of our friends' videos and stuff. What we were talking about right before here is spending a little bit of money on promoting and advertising, right? So Google just put out a series of those best phone forever ads. I know for a fact that ASUS is not going to spend that kind of money to promote their YouTube video commercials. But those little best phone forever spots are perfect fodder for a quick view. They're punchy. It's a cute little moment. And they've been racking up millions of views. So we know that some of that's promotion, making sure that those are commercials that get stitched onto other videos. But it's a cute campaign that people have kind of sought out on their own just to watch. So we've got the launch event, which I think is an hour long. But on the
59.
ASUS
Yeah.
global channel, we have a 51-second. Basically, it's just the GIF that we were seeing on their website, which is like the hand and the wireless charging in the 8 Gen 2, and that's got 800 views on it. Then we have their event highlights video, which is a 3-minute video, and that has 6,000 views. And then we have the official unboxing, which is just a white table unboxing. It's about 1:25, and that has 790 views. And then they have sort of an actual commercial. It's a 1-minute spot, 900 views. But it's such a boring, normal phone commercial. I'm a dude on the subway holding my phone, and I'm wearing earbuds, and now I'm playing a video game, and I'm lying in the grass and taking a selfie. And you're like, it's so average. Like, I believe the kids now are saying it's mid.
Not even meh. It's mid. Okay. So it's like
There
it's in the
is
middle of
a
the road.
story to tell. Obviously, there is a story to tell about small phones, because Mr. Who's the Boss has 256,000 views telling people not to buy the phone. So the vast majority of the commentary on this phone right now is surrounding why people don't buy
Smaller
little
phones.
phones. That means that there's an interest in that story. And
Yeah.
I don't see any push, any money, anything being spent to really highlight the benefits of using this phone. Gaming
Mhm.
ain't it. Showing me a dude on the subway playing a game on a small screen phone is not the hook. Because if I want a better gaming experience, I'm not looking at a small phone.
No.
You know, that's a part of the phone experience, and you want to use them like transformer energy bars, right?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
You know, like the leadership bar and the stamina bar and the attack bar and the defense bar. It's like, you know, an RPG character.
Mhm.
A little phone is going to have a much smaller bar for the hardcore multimedia content consumption and gaming market, because you want a bigger display for that kind of stuff.
No, absolutely.
So this is what I mean. 2 hours after their launch, Mr. Who's the Boss has 256,000 views telling people not to buy the phone, and Asus has 900 views showing someone playing games on the subway and taking a selfie in the grass. Things that any phone can do.
I
Why would you spend $900 up, you know, on a phone that can kind of play games and take selfies while you lie in the grass with your girlfriend? I feel they've missed the mark.
no, no, no. And I think it's the biggest thing about it is it's really it's almost like it's what the company really tries to champion is. Do they believe in the product that they're trying to put out, or is it truly just a marketing campaign budget concern where their budgeting department
Yeah.
isn't the promotion department isn't getting as much budget and they're putting all their
Oh, they're
money
definitely
into
not.
yeah. And I
They're
think that's the
definitely
biggest
not.
that's their biggest challenge
In,
where
in a number of markets, they can make the play and say, like, our phones sell unlocked in these regions, blah, 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 blah.
yeah, and
In
they may do
carrier-heavy
print
markets,
media, they may do ad like spots, like images, so on.
yeah.
They're right, yeah.
In Europe, you know that they'll throw some billboards around, and you know that they'll
Hmm.
throw some magazine inserts and stuff like that. And I'm just asking for the bare minimum of spend some money to stitch that 1 minute commercial onto other videos in the tech space by targeting some North American consumers. And we know they haven't even done that.
Yeah.
On the launch day, their official 1 minute commercial and minute 20 unboxing video have not hit 1,000 views each.
There's a lot more. I mean,
And also, I just like to say I feel Josh Vergara got robbed.
yes, but
But I know he put out a more thoughtful video than Mr. Who's the Boss. He should have an extra 0 at the end of his view count. That
and
I would just like to be on the record there
yeah.
that 1,600 views for Josh's video is incorrect, and YouTube should do better.
No, I agree. I'm totally with you. I think it's everybody going with the whole that this is a super tiny phone, like it's a microphone for some reason, like a tiny micro, not a microphone.
So I looked it up. Isn't it, if it's the same dimensions as the Zenfone 9, isn't it just like a little bit narrower than an S23? Like it's just
It's
slightly
closer.
smaller.
I feel like it's closer to the Pixel 5, like the Pixel 5, more
Oh,
of the
yeah,
compact
yeah.
edition hand side. And I'll say this: I've had many people ask. And this is in real life, not even just on YouTube, but like actual in real life people, like especially people that love smaller phones. Like, what is the nicest small phone that you have right now that you're able to pick up? I've been recommending the 5. The Xperia 5 has been my number one. And
Yeah.
that's primarily because I haven't had a chance to play with a Zenfone before. I haven't had a chance to check out and see the Zenfone 9 series. Last time I checked out or I got a hands-on with any Zenfone was when the Zenfone, I think was it the 5 Pro, whatever, the last version that had the camera that basically transferred from one side
Yeah.
to the other.
I
And
miss
once
that
they
flip-up cam.
yeah, when they stopped that, I'm not gonna say gimmick, but when they stopped that because they did it a couple of years, Zenfone kind of unfortunately kind of dropped off my side because I haven't had that. I wasn't
That's the
really
last
working
one
with
I
it.
really got to mess with too, and that was
Yeah.
because of Pocket now.
Hmm.
If it's not ROG, I mean, like, it's been so difficult. I even have like some of their old experimental. Like I have one of the first. I think it's the first. What did they call it? Was it Zenfone Zoom? But it's the one that actually had moving telephoto optics on
Oh,
the camera
okay.
sensor,
I didn't. Okay.
and it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
powered by an Intel chipset.
It was
So
one of the.
you know
Was
it
it a
got
Windows?
no software support.
I was gonna say, is it
miserable.
powered by Windows as well or no?
No, it's an
No, no,
Android phone.
it's
But
an Android
remember,
phone, but it's an Intel
Intel
chip.
tried for like a hot minute to be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
but one of our Atom CPUs could also power Android, and we're like, no, that's terrible. Don't just.
They dipped their pinky
just
in
go away.
and then they're like, no, we'll go
Intel
back.
bought Xscale and then wrecked that division, and then now they're upset that like phones took over, and you're like, you had it. I forget what model it was, but there was the 600 megahertz X scale that was in the iPac 2750, and that thing was incredible. Like it was
Yeah.
running Quake on little iPac PDAs.
Oh my God,
Amazing.
you
This thing
taking this back.
was awesome. And Intel went, "Well, we're not making enough money on these. Everyone wants Pentiums." And they dumped the whole division. And now they only have themselves to blame because they would have been the driving force in mobile, but they completely missed the vision on everything going pocketable. I am so sorry.
It's
You didn't
okay. No,
need to
no.
hear all my baggage
Well,
about
not only
Windows
that, you
Mobile
threw the Pentium
PDAs.
here, and I'd like to know how many people in the chat remember what a Pentium is.
Oh, you got that Weird Al. It's all about the Pentiums.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I just like yeah,
I'm
because
gonna look real
there was
quick.
a
I can
whole
still hear
generation
you,
of
and we're still gonna talk,
Pentium.
but I want to see if I can find this Asus. So anyway,
Okay. So
we don't have to stick with that because I know you have some really cool stuff
well, not only
you'd
that,
like to
the
talk
camera decided
about.
to zoom in on you creeping behind a microphone, the speaker behind you. Oh, look at that. Okay, that is quick access. I love that. I love that. Look at that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that this has actual folded periscoping
There's
optics, and the zoom is built in. I don't even know if this thing will boot anymore.
probably not. If nothing, it
I
probably you
haven't.
need to leave it on the charger for at least like 2 to 3 hours just to recharge that
Taking
little
care of it.
the mere bare. No, no, actually, I'll take that back. I will
But
say
yeah,
this.
I don't think my camera will focus on this, but what you'll see stamped into the leather here is the little Intel inside.
Oh
It's
my
stamped
God.
into the leather on the back of the case.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know, no.
I'm gonna try and charge it. I am not confident.
You have a micro. Wait, hold on. Is it micro or is it?
Oh, it's
what?
micro.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
micro. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. It's had a
It just
standard.
buzzed. It vibrated in my hand. If my feed like suddenly cuts off, we can assume that
Something
an
blew up.
old, improperly cared for cell phone battery just exploded in my office. So I'm
We'll
gonna
see.
set this
Or if
very
it looks like
gingerly
Juan's
here on
starting
the
to
desk.
pick up a new smoking habit, it's the battery.
Right? That's not atmospheric. I'm not doing that for effect. Please
For him,
call
yes, he's
the
like, he's not
police.
starting cigar smoking now. He's just going straight up to the battery,
So
getting it from the
let's
source.
shift gears, and we don't have to spend time with my aged Asus collection here.
No,
I
no,
really want to talk about some of the Google that is in your home
there's
right
a
now.
lot of Google in my home.
There's
I
a
feel
lot
like
of
Google has
in
a
your home
small
right now.
store in my house. The more I realize how much Google Assistant and how much Google tech is in my house. I had I had a very short okay, I'll say this. I've had an opportunity to check out the Fold a couple of times, but I got to spend some time with it over the weekend, and I I'll say that the experience overall, like once you started using the phone, and because I am in the Google ecoverse, and this is where my perspective is slightly different than most people, because I feel like most tech reviewers aren't fully. I mean, with the exception, I'll say Mr. Fisher, because I think he also uses the Assist quite a bit. But I think I have a little bit more hardware of Google in my home, specifically when it comes to smart speakers. I have this actually sitting. I always have it sitting on my desk on the bottom left. It's the mini version of the Nest Hub. The Hub, I think the mini. I think it's called the Nest Hub Mini. And I also have the Nest Hub Max sitting in my kitchen. We've talked about that before. So when I had the opportunity to play with the Pixel tablet, I understood what what they were trying to do there, and I also had the opportunity to play with the Pixel before it, the Fold, so I also understood some of the aesthetics, and I was excited to see that the aesthetics were there. But when I spent some time with it over the weekend, the Fold that is, I started and it became very crystal clear to me what Google is doing here, but that nobody's covering. Google is giving you pretty much a Pixel 7 Pro and a Pixel tablet in one device.
In one device.
And that's exactly what you need to expect it going into this device, which is different than what you see with other devices on the market. Most of them are, I mean, and I'll say this from a feature set, feature packed, everything in the kitchen sink kind of a solution. Samsung still holds king to this conversation. They have way more years of advanced development on this than Google. Google's
Yeah.
doing a great job of bringing it in.
And it's Samsung and Microsoft that have driven the discussion on bringing Android back to tablets.
And they've carried them for years. This is the biggest
Yeah.
thing that when I also mentioned that in my video. Google stopped many years ago, and it's been the OEMs that have carried it. And without
Hmm.
them, this would not even be a product because
Yeah.
the interest would have died, right? If no Android
Well,
manufacturer
the
made a
interest
tablet,
kind of did die. I mean,
I mean,
Galaxy Tab was the only tablet worth recommending,
it is. No, no,
and
no,
in part because you could kind of get away from Android on a big screen.
and you get
And
that
that
Dex experience on a big screen. No, no,
Th- there-
you're right.
so now Google is, I appreciate that with Android 12L and Android 13 and now Android 14, that Google is working to try and bring back that reputation. But this is the thing that always bugs me about Google and Microsoft is the
Yeah.
stop start. Is
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
if you
Yeah.
had maintained a presence in that space, then this wouldn't feel like we were starting from scratch. Because right
Hmm.
now it feels like even with multiple generations of the Fold, I still really appreciate the work, even though I know it wasn't commercially popular, but that Microsoft brought to the Duo. A lot
Yeah.
of these gestures and interactions come from the Surface.
Oh no, no,
Um,
absolutely. That's again,
yeah,
Google coming back at this time is definitely leveraging
it's great.
everything that's been out.
I
It
love it.
is. Yeah. There's no. We're not. Okay. I feel like when Google does things, they don't try to go on stage and say, "Hey, we invented sliced bread. We
Yeah, no,
invented
yeah,
gestures."
totally fair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We've been
So
working with our partners and we've gotten great
absolutely
feedback, and now all of these things have been
are
incorporated. And if you like
incorporated
one
and
UI, look, we can kind of do something similar. And I
like, thank
appreciate all
you.
that. I just feel like
Because
if
that dock
from the
is totally a
Nexus,
Samsung thing. That little dock when you go from the recent, I've
right?
had that on my on the Tab S8 Plus
Absolutely.
for almost a year now. It's not like something new. It's refreshing to see it somewhere else.
But
But
I
I
just
am,
feel like
yeah,
if Google had maintained some presence in this space from the second generation of the Nexus 7,
yeah,
we would have had a completely different conversation and a completely different relationship. But teams at Google get priority based on the cool and the newness.
hmm,
And so as we were making that transition, and it was kind of difficult making a shift from phone size displays to phablet size displays to proper tablet size displays. And I think the excitement was more on phablets.
yeah,
You're like, oh, you don't need a tablet if you've got a really big screen phone. They pushed all of those resources into Chrome. And
exactly.
Chrome OS,
Yeah.
kind of took root. It is
Flourish, exactly.
still, like, considering Microsoft's dominance of the laptop market, it is incredible what Chrome OS has been able to achieve
Hmm.
in especially reaching younger consumers, because we know that is a very difficult intro
Yeah,
to get people sort of invested or interested in an ecosystem, and schools have played a huge part in that. But now
absolutely.
it feels like we've had to walk all that back to like the Nexus 7 days and go, okay, but what lessons have we learned about tablets? We've learned that the best premium tablet is a tablet that doesn't really use Android. Okay, how can we make that better? And that's where we get Android 13.
And well, to a certain part of it, I think what they've done has been like it's hard to kind of so I'll say this the reception for the Pixel tablet has been a mixed bag at its best because the tablet itself is somewhat of a
Hmm.
confusing product, right? It's a tablet that docks, that does
Hmm.
smart home things, but it doesn't do it well. It doesn't do tablet-y things in that very much, any like extraordinary thing. Like my
Yeah.
expression, my usage of the tablet, and when I try to compare it to what does this do and how does it fit into my ecosystem, because it's going into homes that have tablets, it's going into homes that probably have a smart display. That's the user that would buy this. It's somebody that has
Yeah.
both and has wanted something that can do both and that hasn't been able to find something like it on the market. There is no smart display function that supports Google services outside of Google. Asus made one back at the beginning when they first launched it, and I think it's basically just been Google at this point. The smart display is them. And when you
Who
try to
was
bring
there
that,
was one other.
it was
Wasn't
Asus, I
there
think,
like a
at the
Lenovo?
beginning. Or was it maybe? Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm taking it back. You're right. It wasn't Asus. Lenovo made the first one, right? The big
Okay.
one, the 10.
Yes. So what you said, but cut and
Take
paste Asus for
Asus,
Lenovo. Right.
Lenovo. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My
So
mistake.
so I'm sorry. I just want to get back on to the Pixel tablet,
Of course.
because I like that idea. I've never been a smart display kind of guy because I don't want a compute device that's that limited. And I am the person, like, I had to double check, like, it's still like charged and everything. This is usually downstairs in my kitchen. This is my Surface Duo,
Yeah, yeah.
because I like having a tablet as some kind of ubiquitous computing interface. and I
And
don't want the smart displays are never where I need them to be.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
I don't want to go to the computer console to interact with something. I want
yeah.
it to be with me in the moment that I might need it. That might be in the kitchen, that might be in the dining room, that might be on my wife's desk, that might be up in my office. And so that's why I've still been such a big fan of the Duo, not as a phone. It's not a great phone, but it's been a really fun tablet.
Yeah.
And so now that you've been playing with it for a little while, has your feelings changed on the docked use? Because you do like smart displays more
I
than I do.
Yeah, and I
Has
actually like the
that
smart display more than than the Pixel
tablet?
tablet.
Okay.
Yeah, it I so yeah, okay. So I'll say so one of the other components that I think we should also mention when we talked about smart displays, Google has also, with their integration with TCL and TVs, have also incorporated their smart functionalities into
Mm-hmm.
TVs now, making them a pseudo smart display to a certain point. And I say that because obviously there's no touch, it's mostly vocal and using a remote. But for me, the way I've actually set it up, although I don't have a smart display in every part of my house, I have one in the kitchen, one in the office. So those are the two areas. But in the other rooms where I don't have a smart display, it's typically the TV that does the function that runs, basically Google TV UI services. So in a certain way, I've kind of circumvented that, but that's how I covered my entire area. But the main thing that I wanted the tablet to do was I wanted it to be as good as the smart display when it's docked.
Yeah.
That was the big thing for me. Some of the features that they announced for it, specifically the casting functionality, Google has software limited that to be purely when it's docked. If you
Yeah.
take it off the dock, you can no longer cast to it. I know if you're using it as a tablet, why would you want to cast to it, TK? I don't
But
know.
it's the continuity of the
It's the
experience. I
continuity of use,
started the
yeah.
stream and I pulled the thing off and I want
Exactly.
to continue the
Continue watching the
seamlessness
thing.
of, yeah.
And it was more about that it wasn't clear to me at the time when I was setting it up that it was only in docked mode because it's in the docked in the Nest Hub, not the Nest, in the hub mode function within the
Hmm.
settings. It should have been clear that this only works there. But what
Yeah.
happens, let's say if because again it's the I don't know how to explain it. I'm used to being able to cast. Like to me,
Yeah.
a tablet that's supposed to have smart functionality, like a smart display, shouldn't be
Well,
limited to when it's connected to a blue, not even a Bluetooth, to a wired charging dock with a speaker in it. There's no other things in there. It's a light piece of tech.
right.
There's no hardware like the Nest, the smart. So the continuity threw me off, and from there I started to feel like, well, I should just basically use my
Well,
my smart display
yeah.
there.
Well, and isn't that frustrating though that we've
And they could fix it maybe later. Obviously, this is purely, I feel like it's a
I'm
purely software solution.
sure the
It's just that's
situation
how
is
it
going
is
to
right
get
now.
better.
Yeah.
But this is what I mean by when we talk about the different Google teams and
Hmm.
why I really feel one of the biggest challenges for organizations like Microsoft and Google is getting the synergy
Yeah.
on point. Because Apple is such a monolithic vertical that everything has to sort of fit into what they feel is monetizable.
Hmm.
Whereas Google is a lot more spread out. And even though they've reined in a lot of their crazy experimental moonshot, I mean,
Hmm.
Hassam has a comment here about them killing the Google Glass department again. And I'm so mad if they killed Project Iris. I believe that was what they bought Focals by North.
I'm hoping
That
that
was
that
their
does
their
happen.
simple glasses that just had like translation and heads up display capabilities, and I'm
Hmm.
gonna be gutted if that actually has been properly killed.
Yeah.
Sorry, again, Juan going on a cranky tangent.
Happy Thursday, everybody.
There is, yeah, I know, right? Thursday morning, and Juan's better, more caffeinated than he is usually on Thursday evening.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the issue I'm gonna run into. We already have functional metaphors for what you're describing.
Yeah.
I want a tablet that's gonna work like my new Chromecast. The
Hmm.
new Chromecast is a standalone computer. It's got, I think it's a quad core A52 cores in there, something like that. And even though I'm casting from my phone to that Chromecast,
Hmm.
the Chromecast is really doing all the work. It's not like
Yeah.
my phone is driving the experience and wirelessly sharing the screen or powering the screen. It's just sending the signal, and then the Chromecast takes
Takes
over.
over. Yeah.
And so if I we already have that metaphor. That already works. It works on TCL TVs. It works on the Chromecast dongle that you can connect to your TV. Why didn't Pixel tablet engineers say, when someone's on their phone and they're watching something on Netflix and then they throw it to the tablet, shouldn't that just be the same kind of handshake that our Chromecast has? So then you have the Netflix app on your tablet, and it just turns on the Netflix app, and it goes to the thing that you were watching on Netflix, and it finds the time code of what you were watching, and then it's just the Netflix app from your tablet instead.
Yeah.
That's the kind of consideration, the kind of nuance and detail that I feel sours the experience when people review Microsoft and Google products. It just works. We make fun of that phrase because I think it's a stupid phrase. It just works, because that sounds really limiting and basic, and I don't want to be basic. But I have to give it, the consumer expectation is going to be, I already do this to my TV. Why does it do it differently when I throw it to my smart display?
Absolutely. And why does it, for me, what drove me crazy, because I didn't realize it wasn't there, and I had my tablet with me in the living room, and I was just trying to transfer over. I didn't want to watch it on my phone. I want to watch it on my tablet. My son was already using the TV. So I was trying to cast, and for the life of me, I could not find the Pixel tablet on the casting list. I kept looking. I'm like, oh my God. I restarted, went into the hub section, turned it on, turned it off, nothing. I come back into the room and I'm like, wait a minute. Don't tell me this is the dock. Okay, so I put it on the dock, and oh my God, it shows up. And I'm like, what?
See,
really?
And I have to highlight this. If it's confusing to us, like if you had to stop and troubleshoot it and figure out the steps, because now you've got a flow chart.
Yeah.
What apps and services can I use in this mode versus this mode? And it's up to the user to know that there are going to be differences in that chart.
Yeah.
It's the thing that bugs me about camera interfaces. If I have 4 cameras on the back of my phone and only one of them can shoot 4K video, I, as the user, have to memorize where I can tap on settings and modes in that camera app. I am now no longer composing my image through the camera. I am memorizing the functionality of the camera UI, and I am well far removed from the act of capturing a video or creating content. I've been distracted by the camera. You have made this more difficult. And if it's a troubleshooting step for you, it's a no-go for my aunts and uncles.
It would have been
they won't try.
Yeah.
I tried to cast to this thing and it didn't work. It didn't work. It doesn't just work, and I need something that just works.
Yeah, and I think that was my confusion to me, because it was not clear. Okay, I'll take that back. It is in a settings section that's called hub mode, but a settings section shows up on the tablet even when it's not in hub mode. So to me, it doesn't instinctively make sense to me, because again, the whole premise of this is you could dock it when you want it and you could take it with you when you don't. And I'm like, okay, great. So why don't you?
I don't believe any software is intuitive, but we do have varying degrees of familiarity.
Yeah.
And I have a Chromecast that is now a very accepted style of UI for controlling a television and using apps on a TV.
I use the Chromecast that you're talking about
my
on my
remote's
main monitor right here
over there.
as my wallpaper when I want to be able to change the screen like the wallpapers. But yeah,
we have something that's familiar. So I don't believe it's like, oh well, Google didn't make this intuitive enough. No. We have an example that you and I, and I'm sure other people in our chat, are familiar with. So we have an expectation on how the casting action is going to work, and that is not what we get with the Pixel tablet. So now the tablet is forcing us to do something unfamiliar, and we're having to relearn steps to arrive at the same end result.
It could also be why Google wants you to buy multiple docks for every room. And like, yeah, no.
I'm not going to do that.
No,
I'm not gonna do that.
At 500 to start with the dock, I'm not sure if that's going to, I don't know if it's a limited time promotion, because it sounded like it was, at launch you get it with the dock and later you won't kind of thing, and you'd have to buy your own thing. I'm struggling. I'll say the other thing that I will say, that I don't want to make it sound like we're harping massively on the tablet. As a tablet, it functions quite well. It does the
Hmm.
tablet-y things typical. I love the fact that it runs Android. This is one of the things I enjoyed more than having it when it's a smart display, because I can actually run regular apps. It's not just running Chrome and
Yeah.
it's in the smart display OS. But the like you said, it's having to relearn, having to dig through. Some people may find this frustrating. They may end up having to call support. They may have to go and bring up a trouble ticket or whatever, because they're feeling like something is wrong. It says I'm
Yeah.
supposed to cast to it. It's not casting. I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, because when you put it back on the dock, the assumption behind that is that it's sitting close to you to watch something, right? It's that up
Right.
close experience. And the Nest Hub Max is too big for that. The Nest Hub
Hmm.
Mini does that. But the tablet isn't a mini. The tablet is closer to the Nest Hub Max size. So
Right.
again, for me, what I will say is, as a product, it was confusing to me on how to make a recommendation for it, because as a tablet, it does what you'd expect. It's a Google tablet. And again, I'll tie that into the Fold. It transfers the experience exactly the same to the Fold. The inside display on the
Hmm.
Fold is the Pixel tablet
Yeah.
on a phone. And but then when you try to do that whole handshake with the tablet, with the dock, and the other thing that I also kind of got me a little bit. So, and I'm not trying to nitpick too much. The sound on it, obviously, it's not the same speakers. It doesn't sound as loud as the dock, as the Nest Hub Max. But that's, again, I've come to expect that this is a different experience. This is not trying to be a one to one. But when you first dock it, the sound gets better. It gets fuller. It's louder. We're
Hmm.
not able to leverage the fact that we have quad speakers on the tablet and speakers on the dock to get a better audio experience out of this entire
Right.
experience there. There's that separation. The speakers become basically muted. So after using it, and again, after living with it for about a week and a half, a little bit from my experience right now, I'm still having to expect, like, how to find this, how to make it fit the ecosystem, because almost everything that it does is replicatable somewhere else, and that I
Yeah.
already have this function. You know what I mean? Between the TV, the smart display, my
Hmm.
Chromecast, and my phone, the tablet doesn't give me anything that I'm missing.
I
Like the Pixel 7 does 90%, and yeah,
I
it's there.
feel like we have been dancing around this conversation as an industry.
Hmm.
Not specifically you and I, but people have heard me prattle on about this, so I'm not going to be too long-winded here. I'll be long-winded, but not too long-winded.
It's only Thursday morning, but yeah, no, take your time,
the
please.
the
Yeah.
market for fun consumer tech is going to fail if the only innovation we can find is how can we get people to buy more computers to do the same things that they're already doing.
Hmm.
And so there's an expectation companies would love for us to have multiple phones, tablets, laptops, and desktops in a household, because then we'd be buying and consuming and owning more stuff.
Hmm.
The desire I see from consumers is to not do that. So the idea of a tablet that's also your smart display, Google wins me with that concept over having a tablet and having a smart display,
Hmm.
right? I'm never going to be the guy to own smart displays.
No, I'm with
They
you.
do not deliver the functionality that I want, and I move around the house too much. And I've got a rambunctious little 7-year-old, and she's already starting to develop her own tastes in computing, and she loves like stylus enabled gadgets so that she can use art apps, and it's really great to watch. She's hijacked my Robo Ancala because she found what's that Microsoft app? Fresh Ink, Fresh Paint, something
Hmm.
like that. It's a really good sketch app. I'm not getting my tablet back. She's like, I got the kickstand and the stylus, and I can draw and stuff like that. And then it ends up in places of the house that I don't know where to look for it. So that tablet's gone.
Yeah.
I'm really sad about that. But this is where I'm starting to run into that conflict again. Is there are only so many ways that we can kind of wedge in between phone and tablet. Now we have foldables. Now we can wedge in between tablet and smart display, and we've got this Pixel tablet and a dock.
Hmm.
But you look at like, but what if I just wanted to own a good tablet and a good phone? Well, that's still remarkably cheaper than owning a foldable. So to have the big screen experience and the small screen experience in kind of the better dedicated versions of that,
Yeah.
it just makes more sense financially to go phone and tablet. And now I have two computers kind of doing the job that one should be capable of. And we had another comment here too from, I think it was Ghost Starscream. It's a shame Pixels don't have HDMI display port out or any kind of desktop mode. And you're like, that's kind of what we keep pointing to is how many second generation tensors should I have in my home? I have a Pixel 6a and a Pixel 7 and a Pixel 7 Pro and a Pixel Foldable and a Pixel tablet. You can't tell me there's anything unique about the performance or the processing power or the capabilities of any of those devices. Like they're all gonna be roughly the same. So how many times over am I supposed to replicate the same processing power
Yeah.
to do slightly different things? So sorry, I want to use that as the transition because you've got some early opinions out now, spending some time on the Pixel Fold.
Yeah.
And you've spent way more time with other foldables than I have. I'm increasingly kind of walking away from the mini tablet, what folds into an awkward phone in your pocket category.
Yeah.
I'm becoming more the what's the most expensive camera phone snob that I can be.
I'm right. I'm
So-
right there. I'm right there along with you on the camera experience there. It's
But I need
It's-
you to walk me back from the cliff because I just picked up my Duo 2 again, and I love my little Duo 2, but I'm not lit up for foldables like I
foldables.
was back when they first started kind of popping up. I was a lot more interested.
So the foldables nowadays are more like ice cream flavors. We have a flavor of every company has their own flavor, and they're championing their conversation. What we have right now on the market is a true successor, in my opinion, from a form factor to the Duo and to the Find N2. Those two foldables that opened up sorry, let me see if I. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
there, Find N2.
in the correct landscape orientation.
They open up in
Yeah.
the correct landscape experience. So you have your Duo, I have my Fold. Sorry, this is the Find N2. You could see the experience. It's very straightforward. It's a thin phone, small phone. You have a nice usable front-facing display, great cameras on the back, and you still have that somewhat of a petite experience where I'm able to hold it. Here's my Zenfone thumbnail for the video. Hey, who buys small foldables? There. Okay, we're good. The
Yeah,
experience
that doesn't work on the Duo.
Yeah, no. Well, I think it's
trying
also
to
because of the reflectiveness. The camera is having a hard time seeing where.
No,
it's
I was gonna
trying to
say
focus.
like holding it, like I'm like it does. It's not small. It's not little.
you can't do the look. I have big hands. No, it's not. We need a little bit of Photoshop in it.
It's a moleskin. It's not a tiny petite phone.
You could Julian. You could shave and you can surf things on it. No, the Pixel Fold for me has been a breath of fresh air in that sense because it did follow in that aesthetic. And I say it followed, but it didn't stay there. It's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit wider than the Find N2. So it's actually closer to a standard phone than it is to what the N2 is trying to be. When I first held it, I felt like it was okay. It's a lot. It's a heavier than I thought it was going to be. So it has a decent weight to it because again, the materials they chose to go with. There's a lot more. It felt like almost like I was holding two Pixel 7 Pros. Let's just say that. It felt like if I put two of them on top, that's the weight I was getting. The battery isn't as big. Obviously, I wasn't getting a 10,000 milliampere battery there. I was getting barely a 48. But the aesthetics and the mechanics that they had in there was actually pretty decent overall. The display is very nice, very usable, large. Not one-handed as the N2 because it's a little bit taller. I think it just continued what we'd expect there from just general Android. But Google purposely made a decision to give the outside display a phone UI experience and the inside display a tablet UI experience. So, and what I mean by this specifically is when you try to go to recents on the external display, or even when you open up the notification panel, because it's a thinner, taller form factor, you get the notification where you get the toggles at the top and then you get the notification under it. Typical to what we see on standard phones, no argument there. When you go into the inside, you swipe down, you get the tablet version, which is notifications on the right and toggles on the left. Recents, same thing. When you swipe up from the bottom on the external display, it's different than the internal. You don't get the dock. You don't get that large one first current app or the most recent app, and then everything on the left of it. It changes everything. So I applauded that experience. So that was exciting for me because I understood where the internal experience is coming from, as opposed to being confused as to
Mm-hmm.
why is it different, why is it not making sense. It's because I came from the tablet, very short amount
Yeah.
of time with the tablet, but to me it
Again,
felt like okay,
not intuitive, familiar.
familiar,
Google
absolutely. And
created an
and if you're coming from a
expectation on
Samsung
what.
tablet, yeah, if you're
Yeah,
coming from
exactly.
Samsung, you would like, oh hey, they brought the dock. I'm like,
Okay,
yes.
I get it.
It makes sense. It makes perfect sense, and I think that was what got me excited about it. There is still also kind of like, so the bezels on the inside, that when you first hold it, you're like, okay, well there is a quite a bit of space taken up on the outer rim of the display.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that made sense for me. I like the fact that they didn't decide to go with a punch hole camera and try to hide the camera and try to do
Yeah.
whatever. It was there. It's sitting in the bezel. You almost miss it if you didn't see it. The experience that you get with it overall is a very smooth, very clean experience that Google's been refining for a few years now. The Tensor G2 runs beautifully. It does get a little bit warm on the right under the camera sensors on the right, so that's, I'm assuming the Tensor is sitting in the right side next under the, obviously since that they don't put it under the display, they'll put it under right behind there. But nothing like overall massively there. So everything in there just felt comfortable. And if you're a Pixel user, it's going to be like being at home. And that's what got me excited for it. It's not going to have the fastest charging. I didn't get a chance to do, obviously, a full day's usage and setup and all of that. So that part didn't get in there yet. I'll say it's exciting to see them going into the experience. And the other reason is I'm excited to see what foldables now will get out of
Right.
this in the next iteration when they get updated into Android 14 or
Because
whatever, all the
one
implementation
of the
comes.
things that I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on, again, not to try and like completely like spoil all of your videos that are going to be upcoming on this, but one of the most immediate considerations for me, Duo was never built to be one app across both panels. You can do it. There's a gesture for that, but every bit of the Duo design is one app goes to one panel and one app goes to the other panel.
It's
And
the
the
right way to do it, I
times
think.
that you
Yeah.
might want to full screen something like that are very limited. You don't do that often because that's not really the purpose. The purpose is multitasking with two apps at a time, not single tasking on a larger screen. So the philosophical difference, I don't think I'm going to say something nice about Samsung, and I'm going to try not to vomit while I say that. The continuity of going from the external display to the inside display is one of the things that I think the Fold still does better than many of its competitors.
Yeah.
And because Google is operating such a different, I mean, I shouldn't say it's a radically different, but there is a different UI between the outer display phone experience and the inner display tablet experience. Have you tried playing with different apps and services to see if Google has managed to bring some of that Samsung polish to the transition? Because when I'm in Gmail and I open it because I want a larger canvas and I want to see the the two panel tablet interface, is that transferring, or is it more like I have a phone and a tablet and they're two separate devices depending on what screen I'm using?
I'm trying to figure out an app that I can open up for you that doesn't
Or
show
even something
personal
like, again,
information.
like streaming video. Like if I'm watching a video on Netflix,
Okay. Oh,
if I'm
YouTube.
watching a video on YouTube, let's
Let's
go
yeah.
Google. A Google app on a Google phone with up-to-date Google software. If I'm watching a video on YouTube and I open it, I want the assumption to be I wanted to watch that video on a larger surface.
Should we do an Inception, Juan? What do you think?
Are we doing it? Are you going to stream our own podcast?
Why not? Okay. So here is our show.
Oh, wait, let me make
Wait,
it big.
is it? Yeah, this is the right show. Okay, I guess
Yeah, yeah,
we're
I'm
running
doing it
late.
right
I
now.
don't know why, but yeah. So this is the show. It's running on the external display, and I'm only gonna do is basically open it. I'm not doing anything. I'm not changing
Great.
anything.
That's all I needed to see.
Yeah. And
It
and
was
of
making
course,
me really nervous that, again, for some of the other things that we were talking about the expectation
Yeah.
of
Sorry
how
for the
these
loading
things
on this
work.
thing. Yeah, it's loading. I don't know why, but it
Some
formats, and of
buffering.
course there's going to be the the letterboxing that's purely from the formatting in there. But yeah, it does have that continuity. And if I close and I go back to the external display, it just does the exact. If I can get it to focus, here it
It
is.
just brings it right back.
It just goes back. Yeah, and I don't know why our stream is. It says live, but it's like circle, circle, circle. It's loading. Hold on. I just got some notification here. I want to make sure I wasn't. There's a package coming in, so I want to make sure I don't miss that part. But no, I'm. That is not my. No, that wasn't me. But yeah, so the experience overall, I think they're working on it. App formatting is still an issue. It's still you still need to install the desktop version of the desktop app version of Twitter to get Twitter to play nice with the form factor. Instagram just doesn't play well with anybody, so that's just you just leave it
Yeah.
there. You just launch it in, and this is where okay. So here's my thing with Instagram at this point. Why does Instagram not let us run split screen on it? Like, what is the purpose behind that? Because on these devices, you can't do split screen with Instagram on one side and Twitter on the other, even though we have it built into the UI.
Right.
Instagram doesn't allow you to do that because it's built into the rules of the app. So it's always frustrating because I can't open Instagram unless I'm just doing a browser version of it or something. So yeah,
Well, that's interesting because I can do. I'm not logged in right now, but I can do Instagram and Twitter side by side on my Duo.
because you have two displays.
Why
Exactly.
don't other phones just work? TK, make it
It's
just work. It should just work enough.
I
What they
I
need
don't
is more.
I think
It
you just
just
don't
works
have an
juice.
advanced device, my friend. Does the duo even duo, my friend? Hold on. Okay, now
Again,
now I'm getting a
I
notification
love it
from the
when
door.
people. I love it when
Yeah.
people complain about things like, well, in your Duo review, you didn't mention all of these things that split screening is kind of a benefit on. So, I
Yeah.
guess you missed that kind of
Okay. I
functionality.
do I do have to run real quick. Package at the door. I'll be right back.
Yeah, for sure. I'll
Talk
riff.
amongst talk
So
talk talks amongst yourselves.
here's the topic: the Holy Roman Empire, not holy, not Roman, not an empire. Discuss in the chat. I'm gonna keep ripping off that absolutely terrible Saturday Night Live joke for future streams. So unfortunately, the guy who's doing the hands-on experience here with the Pixel Fold is the one who's running off to grab a package. Um, I'm really anxious about foldables. I get why we're pushing in this direction. And like I said, I want devices that can kind of displace functionality from multiple gadgets. But I just kind of want to look this up here. If I go phones, and I'm imagining that the Pixel 8 Pro, do we think Pixel 8 Pro is going to land close to the price of Pixel 7 Pro? Please drop me some comments here. But if I go Pixel 7 Pro, and let's not buy basic. Let's go 256. We'll go 256. That's 999. And then I go to Pixel Tablet, and I probably don't need the 256 there. That's 499. So for $1,500, I
Okay.
have a phone and a tablet versus the $1,800 of the Pixel Fold. So
Okay.
would you say, because you came back and you probably guessed where I was kind of going with that, would you say that the pocketability of the Pixel Fold is worth a $300 premium over having a separate phone and tablet?
Yeah. Actually, I mean, um, I
Because we know
if you
Pixel
really
8 is right around the corner.
absolutely,
That's going to have
absolutely,
Tensor G3.
and it's probably going to be around
So,
like $600, $700, maybe. I'm guessing, but
but
like
but
if you,
even going Pixel 8 Pro, I'm
Mhm.
assuming it's going to be roughly $1,000 for one
Yeah.
of the tiers.
Yeah, and if
And
you well, but see that the thing in my video, I always described it to be a Pixel 7 Pro purely because of the G2. So I kept it more tailored to that. We know, let's say you go with the Pixel 7, $700, $500 for the tablet. So it's $1,200 for this entire experience. At that point, it's a little bit hard. It's a hard sell because the question would be is what are you trying to do? And
yeah,
I really feel like Okay, I'll be honest. I think where the Pixel Fold right now is, it's overpriced. I think it's the price point that I think this is the MSRP label that we're going to get on a car.
Okay.
This is what they should be, what they want to sell it for. The sales that are going on right now primarily are due to enthusiasts and people that are excited that Google's putting a foldable, and this is why if you try to pre-order today from their website, you're probably
It's
going to be
backordered,
it's
yeah.
back-ordered to September, not July, not August, September. And I don't think that many people are really wanting to wait 2.5 months for something. But it depends on, again, what they want.
I feel like
I
they got a first push here in the summer, and they knew
Yeah.
that that would be the time to avoid directly competing against the Z Fold.
Well, and that's the thing. The Z Fold, I think, it should be around the corner. We're not that far from learning what Samsung's going to be releasing.
Sure. But
I
for when it's really shipping out to consumers, it's like they
That's true.
almost staggered their window to kind of frog, right?
Well, that's
so
true.
you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
the
yeah.
first batch out now.
Yeah.
You've got a window. People get their videos
August
out.
is typically what they do when they launch it.
The
I mean, when
enthusiasts
they
are all a
make
part of it, and then Samsung will be starting Z Fold when the current pre-orders for Pixel Fold are
finishing
starting
up.
to send out.
Yeah.
So the excitement of that is going to be more Samsung focused for when
Well,
Z Fold is
in
ready
defense,
to go.
some of the pre-orders, like the unit I'm holding, is a pre-order. This is not a review unit. I'm not review. There is no Team Pixel conversation here.
No.
I'll say this back. This is actually a favor from a friend. I did not buy this one. That would be my biggest disclaimer. I'd like to say is
Good for you.
No, no. Look, I think some people felt like there was a good enough of a demand and a conversation that needs to be had on, and I feel like I understand that my friend definitely has what he needs to bring that conversation. My only concern was at the time is kind of similar conversation like as you were. I'm having to juggle expenses for things that I want to be able to have money for to be able to support on the channel. Not everything that comes into our channels are given or gifted or loaned
Yeah.
to us. So when you have those type of conversations and you want to be able to keep conversations going, it gets very stressful on your wallet. Very stressful. And hardware life, when you're not able to have them for some time, it becomes a very short conversation. What I will say with the experience where this is, I feel like if somebody's looking, and I'm going to be as clear on it because I've tried all those formats. If I needed a tablet and a phone in the same form factor, I will have to go to a foldable. I don't feel like having a phone, a physical phone, and an actual size tablet will give you the same functions because to a certain point, it's not as portable. At home,
Right.
it does. If I'm home and I'm able to grab my tablet and walk away to the living room, again, which I was doing with the tablet, the Pixel tablet, that's totally right. Yeah, no, that makes no sense for us to pick up a foldable. The foldable doesn't solve anything.
Sure.
If anything, it creates an extra piece of hardware that didn't need to be there. For outdoor experience, when you want to be able to use your device, and keep in mind with this form factor, the larger external display and the more correct orientation duo style experience, you literally don't open this phone as much as you think you will. It reduces the demand for that. It becomes more of that 40% time I'm on the internal display and 60 to 70% I'm on the outside because everything
Yeah.
I need to do my day-to-day job is doable. And in that situation, I feel like the foldable makes sense. It's just not at this price point. This is where it's killing me. I know the hinge is expensive. I know this is a first gen.
I don't know that anyone can do a foldable significantly less expensive.
Oh,
You know,
and when I
like,
mean less expensive,
I-
I'm thinking like $14.99. I think that would
no,
have been
but
the right price point to go
this
in.
is the big problem.
Yeah.
Like, because what you're saying is it should be priced the same as a phone and a tablet put together. That's
with
what
with a
I-
with a small with a compensation for the folding mechanism. It's 4 years now that we've had foldable
Right,
tech.
but that's what I'm saying is a
Yeah.
Pixel 7 Pro 256 right now is $999, and a Pixel tablet 499 is $1,500. So it can't be that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You can't put two products in one and have it be cheaper. It's going to be more expensive to displace two devices, and the benefit of being able to carry two devices in one is it's going to be more expensive than those two devices. And,
That I
and
agree.
we kind of do this a lot. And I'm not picking on you. I mean,
No,
across the
I-
entire tech commentary landscape is it should have been this much. And you're like, sure, you're correct. Pixel Fold will sell better when it's less. The Pixel
I
Fold will sell worse when it's more, but there's
yeah.
no way to demonstrate what a foldable should cost because here in the North America it's Z Fold. So Z
It's
Fold
but
set the stage at 2000,
well,
and
okay. So Z Fold
back at the Z Fold launch, that was
we need to
$2,400
see
worth of
what
currency
what
today.
OnePlus is going to do. So this is the other conversation. I know
Yeah.
we're not there yet. This is the real killer part. We are not at that level yet, but we have. I said this. I don't know who I was talking to, but I really would say I'm very happy with the foldable conversation happening this year. This year we have way more foldables than we've had, and I'm talking about clamshell. I'm talking about standard foldable.
Yeah.
More companies are going into. Honor's going in strong with the V series. Oppo obviously has had the Find N series before. They released the Find N2. Flip, crazy nice, like large display, form factor, clamshell style, functional external display. Not as functional as the Razer, but I feel like Moto just jumped in and said, "Hold my beer. Let me show you how
Sure.
you just do whatever you want." Now, we know Samsung's obviously working on their Flip. We know Samsung's working on their Fold. We know Oppo and probably more than likely OnePlus are also working on their foldable for 2023. So there are at least those conversations that we will. The reason I say those because I'm thinking in the US market, OnePlus
Sure.
will release the Fold. We have
It,
Moto.
and
Yeah, so it's getting
but
more.
but what I'm saying is what tablet, foldable
Yeah,
tablet, because I'm trying to differentiate because we have Z Flip style, we have Flip style phones, and
yeah,
we have folding tablets that turn into phones.
yeah, yeah.
What folding tablet has been successful at $1,500? MSRP, launch price.
I don't think
Who
any of
got
them
there?
were launched at
None of
1,500
them
bucks.
have launched there. And
No,
why
they've
is it
always
that we
been.
reserve that conversation to say, well, it should have been $1,500? And you're like,
So
but
okay,
none of them have been.
I'll follow you with that conversation, and I'll say this.
You're not wrong.
No, no,
The
no, no,
price of a phone and a tablet together is
no,
$1,500,
no.
and that
But
makes
that's not the
sense.
angle I'm going
So,
into it. That is absolutely it's not the angle that I'm going in. My concern is yes, that if you try to do simple math, that makes a statement or makes a point. My point to this is this. Yes, Samsung rules this market. Samsung has a grip on this because, again, they've done this 4 times and this is their fifth
sure.
time. By the fifth time making anything, even if you are making improvements, the price should adjust to the availability. You have more competition and you are not inventing the wheel anymore. You're refining the wheel. What I see
Right.
at this point is, even from a manufacturing standpoint, I totally agree with you that a specific hinge sorry, having a hinge to start with is expensive, but having a good hinge is even more expensive because I've
Yeah.
tried devices that have gone like
We've all handled the Flex Pi.
yeah, no, 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 don't get me wrong. And I've also gone on to MWC and I've seen some of the other options on the market like Techno and I've
Sure,
seen
sure,
some
sure, sure, sure.
Honor.
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm saying this is Samsung makes a great kick-ass hinge.
Yeah.
Duo makes a great kick-ass hinge, and I understand the premium, but the price can't keep staying at 1,800 bucks. That's what
Right.
I'm driving towards.
But
Not
Z
the
Fold
approach.
4 today,
It's not
MSRP is $1,800.
MSRP, but if you try to find it anywhere, like
Google's MSRP is $1,800.
well, yeah, no, no. And I said
Samsung's
the
fourth generation has only cut $199 off of the original launch price of the Z Fold 1. So why do we reserve for non-Samsung companies?
yeah.
It should have been, and I'm purposely doing this because in my YouTube comments, I'm going to have someone who writes SHOULDOF. It should have been $1,500 because
my thing was
we
more about
never
yeah,
that game doesn't happen. We all say
yeah.
we know it's going to go on sale. We know there are
Oh,
going to be deals and bundles and trade-ins and all these things.
carriers are doing better deals, by the way,
Sure,
than
sure.
than
But
Google.
we
But yeah,
but we don't phrase the Samsung conversation that way. We point the Samsung conversation to a trade-in or a deal or a bundle. We don't say with the same consistency in an imaginary market where foldables really have not proven themselves and they have not sold enough for us to have the consumer trends to understand what people are really interested in, that it should have been $14.99 MSRP. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is like we're phrasing this because we know the Z Fold exists at $1,800.
and chances are
Google
the
is
new one
not
will be the
allowed to
same.
have a foldable at $1,800. The only value that tech reviewers can apply to the Pixel is it should have been cheaper than the Samsung, but I don't see.
Well,
I don't
no, no.
understand why.
My
I don't
value of
get
the
why.
Pixel. So here's my thought, though. My value of the Pixel is actually a better one than Samsung's, and it's that, the reason behind that it's because it's a Pixel.
Sure,
Pixels get better over time.
I,
Samsung
I,
devices
I,
don't. Whatever you
I
get at
agree.
launch is pretty much what you have at the
I
end
agree
with
with
minor
all of that.
software optimizations.
I prefer Pixel Launcher over One UI. I
Yeah, yeah.
like the way that Google brings feature drops to products. Like, but again, we don't phrase the Samsung conversation as it's the wrong price.
I think to a
And so
certain.
even though
Yeah.
I'm saying I think foldables haven't really proven themselves, I think the value of having a tablet and a phone together represents a price point that is confusing for consumers, and we're having a whole spectrum of conversations kind of like dancing around these different points
Yeah,
here.
I
But
agree with you. I think the
but
points that you're saying are valid. Yeah, it makes sense. You're right.
but we say the Pixel should be $1,500, and I cannot conceptualize in my brain why. Why should the Pixel be $1,500 if the Galaxy is $1,800? Like, it doesn't benefit foldables. If you undercut Samsung, it just makes foldables look like cheap Android phones.
Oh,
And
no,
then
yeah, yeah.
Apple's going to come out with a $2,500 iPad foldable. And everyone's going to go, well, that was the right price. You're like, HTC has $1,000 headset out right now, and that's too expensive.
Hmm.
But Vision Pro is $3,500 dev kit, and that's going to be the future of mixed reality. We keep setting this up so that
Hmm.
we race to the bottom with everyone who's not Samsung, and then it makes this version of the product or this version of the segment of the market look like a cheap competitor to what Apple is going to do for real at twice the price. Because
I
Apple is going to look at their most expensive iPad and their
yeah.
most expensive iPhone and add a premium on top of that whenever they decide to get into this foldable tablet game. They're not going to say an iPad costs $1,000 and an iPhone costs $1,000, so we should charge 1,800. They're going to say Samsung charged 1,800, we should charge 25. So
There,
this is what I mean. It's
the
it's not
gaming that there's
it's
that
not the
there's that level of
practicality
it.
of
No, no, no. I'm with
but
you. It's the okay. So my approach of all my foldable and all my covered videos that I've done with Samsung, I've always said that wait till you find this on a special if you're considering getting something.
yes.
The reason behind that
Again,
it isn't that I'm
but
saying
we
that
don't
it's
say the MSRP is wrong, because I believe once we get through this first
oh.
batch of Pixel Folds, we're
Mhm.
going to see a Pixel Fold Pixel Buds bundle, and at $1,800 you'll get some free earbuds, kind of like the way that Sony does that with
I
their
I
phones.
don't doubt it.
Or there will be a Black Friday sale where if you give them an email, you'll get like a $200 credit for other accessories. So really, it's like you're getting it for $1,600. We've seen them play these games. Like, we know every manufacturer does this. But
Absolutely.
$1,800 MSRP for Samsung is somehow correct, and Pixel $1,800 MSRP is somehow incorrect. And that's what I can't wrap my brain. Before the Pixel launched,
Yeah.
we had so many of our tech brethren. I think Ike is in the chat, and I was bugging him in his chat. He's like, well, yeah, we really want this to land at like 1,400 or 1,500. I think that'll be too much, but it'll undercut Samsung. And you're like, there's no way. There's no way Google is going to undercut their primary Android manufacturing partner. So
That's what I was trying to get to the point of saying.
we
There's a much
knew
bigger relationship in the background that we're not covering in this
for sure.
conversation. Yeah.
So again, I'm sorry, I know I'm harping on this, but it's the psychology of how we talk about these products that really I've never been able to understand when people assume a price. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
would have bought that, but it should have been cheaper. And you're like, but you fundamentally don't understand how these products work if the only thing you can think is it should give me all of the same capabilities or similar capabilities to a
Mhm.
Galaxy phone and do things that are better than the Galaxy phone and also be cheaper than the Galaxy phone. And then also look at the wasteland of companies that have left the market.
No, no, I'm
Like,
with you.
that's what LG's business model was
That,
let's make a phone that's competitive against a Galaxy and brings innovative new features to the smartphone space, but then undercut the Galaxy price. And why isn't our division making any money? I guess we should close shop. I guess the phone division is just always going to be in the red. And that's what I can't like I'm just
The,
shaking
the
techies
part
individually
part
in
part of
my
the
comments.
conversation with Google though is a couple of years ago they did shake the industry by going in with a flagship that starts at $899, where
Sure,
all other flagships were $1,000 plus. We saw
absolutely.
Moto jump on the same bandwagon. We saw OnePlus jump on the same bandwagon. Google is a trend center in their own way, regardless of the fact that Samsung may dominate the market. Google and with the budget that the Team Pixel campaign that they did
Hmm.
for quite some time, their promotional budget has gone through the roof. I have seen more Pixel Fold commercials or ads in my TikTok
Yeah.
than any other commercial ever, and I do not understand because I don't search for. Anyways, the point of a conversation is to bring it back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show. Yes, it does come down to budgeting and marketing and promoting
Yeah.
and putting these little ad inserts in spaces to show
But
people that you can finally take pictures. Like this function, the ability of doing this, taking pictures with the external. Sorry, I'm using the wrong
right.
display. Using the external display is a functional feature of a Pixel. So the reason where the 1500 is, it's purely from where Google was trying to disrupt the market on the Pixel side on the Pixel 6
Right.
Pro and the Pixel 7 Pro kept it again. That's where I feel like the aspirations are coming here. When the Honor V2 came out, their foldable phone, I didn't go in
Right.
there and say that
So
it was
hold on,
expensive.
before you bring up other comparative examples, I want to stick
Sure.
with Google. I don't want us to keep like because both of us like to
Oh no, no,
detour.
no, absolutely.
So
And
when Google came in and subsidized their phone costs to try and get Pixel more aggressively in the mind share, we were talking about a pretty well matured market of LTE slate phones.
yeah,
So the psychology of that is, hey, we're trying to rebuild this brand. We had the Nexus kind of melt down on us somewhere around the Snapdragon 810 era of chips.
no
Nexuses
pun
weren't
intended,
doing
but
so
yeah.
great, so we need to rebrand and reconsider our hardware strategy. So we've got a company looking to rebuild the reputation of building a first party phone.
Hmm.
We're moving from the Nexus to the Pixel. We're trying to get consumers interested in what that might be like. And the whole point of the Pixel was we're going to streamline and make the most googly phone. So none of these like crazy skins or of these radical or crazy features. And I think the phone that was most ambitious was the Pixel 4 for having the co-processors and the air gestures and all that crashed and burned. So now we're back to the Pixel being of a more streamlined division of first party Google services platform.
Absolutely.
But that means if all we can see is Google should be cheaper because they were a price disruptor 5 or 6 years ago, we're not reviewing the phones, we're reviewing the perception of the brand. And
Absolutely.
Samsung is allowed to be a more premium brand, and Google is not because 6 years ago they did price disruptive phone subsidized pricing on their phones. That is a completely different market when we're talking about foldables today. Foldables need to be an expensive Halo product that get people excited about mobile computing again and look premium and make statements and are talked about and are shown off in public. And
Yeah,
if
yeah.
already in the second foldable that lands in North America, we're already playing the race to the bottom, then foldables are dead. They're going to look like cheap,
Yeah.
crappy. They're going to look like gimmicks. They're going to look like
We're gonna
single
lose the
versions, and
message.
then no one's really going to buy them. And look, the prices are already falling on them. TK, Samsung couldn't sell them at 2,000, and now Google can't sell them at 1,500. I guess I'll wait until I see one at 499 on a carrier
No,
contract.
no,
So it's completely different
it
if we're
is.
talking about a Pixel Fold than a Pixel Slate phone.
Okay.
And that's the thing that, again, I think techies are really bad about. They looked at the Google label, and the Google label used to mean Nexus, and Nexus was way cheaper for a comparable phone than other brands. That's the only thing I guess Google is allowed to do for the entire rest of the company's future is undercut price.
I'm
And if
with
you
you.
undercut the foldables now, foldables are dead. Foldables
I
are not exciting until Apple invents them, and then we're going to see a 512 gig foldable iPad iPhone at $29.99.
I
That's and then people will then Apple will have done it right. Then
they
then
would
it's
have
okay.
invented
Now
the
now we can
foldables.
take it seriously.
I'm with
Three
you.
thousand dollars. That's the right price to pay because Apple said so.
So okay, the the main thing that I probably will say this in any of my videos when you see me review, and the reason why I'm saying this is because when you say in general, and it's hard not to take it slightly that it's coming on this side of the monitor.
Well, you have it. I don't even
No, no, no,
have
no, no,
the
no. It's not
foldable in
even.
my
It's not.
hand.
It's not even a
So,
conversation around that. The I always strive to do one thing, and when I'm covering a device, I don't talk about the price. I
yeah,
never say how much it is. And that's not because I don't want to put the number on the screen and because the number is going to change. Because at the end of what I'm trying to do is not to demonstrate to you that this is valued at that price. My experience and what I try to show in my content is that does this bring value into your life? Does
sure.
this make sense to you? The price, that's going to be between you, your wallet, and the retailer that you're going to talk to. Because at the end of the
Whatever
day,
holy
yeah,
being you might believe
whoever it
in.
is, whatever time of the day, the time of the year, 4th of July, whatever, insert special promotion. That's between the retailer and the consumer, and the decision has to be made there. I don't try to bring that in. The comment that I was referring to at the beginning of this conversation when we were getting into it, I made the statement saying that yes, this is the MSRP. This is the label of where we go as to when we go to a dealer. That's the
Sure.
MSRP in there. I don't disagree that I think that it's a premium device. It is absolutely a premium device,
Hmm.
and it should command a premium price. What I was trying to, it's almost more of and it's not like I was trying to just jump through, let's just jump, at launch, let's jump 2 months into the future and let me give you that price point directly. We'll just go ahead and start there, and then everybody will drive the
Right.
price even lower.
Because we should expect all tech is going to go through price fluctuations.
Absolutely.
But
Promotions,
price
availability,
fluctuations are
region.
not MSRP.
No, 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 no.
MSRP is set at the product launch, and that sets
Exactly.
the consumer expectation for the hierarchy of where
Well,
these products can be. And
and,
one of the
and the
reasons
feature
why,
set. Yeah, yeah.
and we take
Because I
for
think that got
granted,
lost in the conversation you and I were having. That I was arguing
but
that
we
part. I wasn't.
but we take for granted
Yeah.
that MSRP, trade-in deals, bundle deals are going to be a part of that conversation. And we always highlight Samsung with the expectation of a trade-in deal. How many videos do you see like, oh, and if you can get this trade-in deal, then it's really only going to be this much, as a
Absolutely.
part of the review
And
commentary, where
yeah.
the Pixel side of this is $1,800 MSRP is too much. It should have been $1,500, with the expectation that then at $1,500 MSRP, there will be other deals and bundles and trade-in deals to get it even cheaper than that. And we already set the stage for a bunch of tech reviewers acting like Pixel Fold was going to come out at like 1,000. How
Oh
many
no.
people are like, Google's going to disrupt? They're going to disrupt, and it's going to be super cheap. And I mean, at the high end, maybe it'll be like 1,400. And it was all poison pill. They were all sowing the seeds. There was no
Well,
way that was going to happen.
they're grasp.
All
Yeah,
they were
they're
doing was setting up the disappointment and getting tech nerds on YouTube all riled up for angry comments about, oh, they priced themselves out of the game. The reason why I'm getting so lit up about this is because we know that there's probably going to be some kind of OnePlus foldable this year. I bet you we're going to see some hardware on that, especially like chipset, that should outperform a Tensor 2. If it's a
probably. Yeah.
Dimensity or if it's a Qualcomm 8 Gen 2, shouldn't
I'm
we
really hoping
expect...
they go whatever whatever the most current. I mean, I'm hoping
Yeah,
they stick to what they've done with their pad, because I
but
think that's a great recipe there.
because it's already gonna be an expensive foldable, we should expect at least $1,800. How many people are
I
gonna
wouldn't be
allow...
surprised around. Yeah, it would be around there.
But again, this is what I'm saying. We have to expect a folding tablet that turns into a phone is going to be somewhere around $1,800 to start.
Yeah.
It's probably going to have a better performing, faster charging, better battery management, better power management. I would expect the cameras to be comparable, if not better camera sensors, if not, Google having the better camera software. All of those things add up. So if $1,800 is the starting price for a Pixel Fold, my expectations on a OnePlus should be like $1,999. But we won't let them do that. We won't let Google do $1,800. It should have been $1,500. So now a OnePlus doesn't have the same cachet as a Pixel. It should have been $1,300. And you're like, but you're not reviewing the product. You're reviewing the brand's perception.
Yeah.
And that to me is what's killing me in this conversation, because we'll never allow for the evolution of this idea we'll never get the data that we need, and we'll never get consumers on board if we're not sort of honest about how this market works. And the only two companies that are ever allowed to kind of step into this space and define their own prices for their own products are Samsung and Apple. It's ludicrous to me that you would spend 3 times more on a Vision Pro than on an HTC. That is insane to me.
Or a Quest Pro.
Like,
I mean, not that Quest is a
no,
conversation.
no, no.
I'm just saying it's like from a,
I'm purposely picking the HTC because
because
HTC is not
HTC is not
subsidizing the cost of their headset based on the monetization of your user data and behavior.
That's
and
true.
I trust Apple will kind of compartmentalize your user data in a more responsible way than Facebook will. So
Peace.
the closest competing idea to that is the HTC. The HTC is too expensive, TK. Haven't you seen the reviews? And sometimes the little interactions with your hand tracking are a bit clumsy and they're not as well polished. And well, I just don't see how this is worth $1,100 or $1,200. But we're all breathlessly impressed with the Vision Pro as a dev kit at $3,500 being the future of spatial computing, which is just a fancy brand name for mixed reality, which we've had for 7 years now.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. If we're enthusiasts and we really care about this stuff, we are basically giving Apple the victory before Apple has even walked into this space.
No,
We're fighting
yeah.
about the language about MSRP on a Pixel Foldable, and people are saying things like, it should have been cheaper. And you're like, it could not have been. Both in manufacturing, distribution, R&D, software support for years of software support has a cost and everything. And it could not have been. Even down to the public perception of the value of what these things should be. Are they premium, expensive, flashy gadgets? It could not have been. We are not at a point in the market where we can take a bendy folding screen and disrupt. We're still figuring it out. I mean, even down to the aspect ratio, the format, and the direction of the hinge, we still don't really have that right yet.
No,
we're still working on it.
It's very much even when they did go for something closer to the Duo and to the Find N2, they went the other direction of putting in a bezel as opposed to not having a bezel, which is different. No, I'm totally with you.
Sorry, Sparta's Tech Reviews here. $2,000 OnePlus Foldable. The OnePlus One was $349. OnePlus has lost their way. They've betrayed their customers. Can I get a OnePlus for a half a ham sandwich and a hearty handshake with eye contact? Like, this is
you're asking too much with eye contact, man. That's just steps a little bit too far.
I refuse to take your OnePlus unless the handshake has eye contact. And it's got to be a hearty handshake, not one of these like I kind of.
I thought it was a hearty ham sandwich with that. Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's one of those. I think the conversation is so. I'll say this. I'm with you with the value. I'm with you with the MSRP. And yeah, you're right. The Pixel 6 Pro, the market disruption with the Pixel 5, Pixel 6 Pro, Pixel 7 Pro did come way after they've been in the market. They've experimented. They've shifted. They're trying to shift the gear and try to go in a slightly different direction. And it's been working for them. Absolutely. I think on the standard smartphone,
but look at
Google figured out.
But Pixel Pro prices are not disruptive anymore.
No.
Pixel Pro prices are kind of on par.
They're back.
That's what they should be.
Absolutely. And I think that's, again, I understand marketing and I also understand what they were trying to do. Foldables right now are in a very much singular existence. And I say that because even though the Pixel Tab Fold is starting to come out to market, it is still very, very, very new. It is going to be at retailers. It's going to be at OEM. So there is going to be some exposure there where Samsung is also
some carrier
there.
deals.
Yeah,
and stuff like
and
that
I think
too.
this is the biggest thing. I think T-Mobile, I want to say T-Mobile, AT&T, I want to say Verizon as well. But the short end is, we'll have to see how the market reacts to this, obviously, by come the holidays and see how the numbers are and how is it really performing. OnePlus is going to have some. It's also, again, it's a brand that's also going through a reshifting in their approach, right? We've seen them change from going from Pro to an 11. There's things going on. this is a premium experience. The foldable is a premium experience. It should not be construed as this is something that should be as cheap as or at the same value, set at the same value as a standard smartphone. Bringing in a tablet and a phone into a device is a great feat of work. Doing it right is even harder because the software experience is where it's going to live. And I feel like Pixel has a great future. And I said that in my video, in my impressions. I'm excited to see that this is a Pixel because even on the Nest Hub Max, when I first got that device early on many years ago, there were features that don't exist that exist today. Google strives to implement software optimizations into their ecosystem, and I feel like that's where the benefit here is. When you go in with a Pixel, when you go in with a Samsung or whatever, you need to understand the value that the company is bringing in.
Sure.
Samsung to this day, other than some software optimizations done to their tablet, has not improved with a new feature on the Z Fold 4, like a feature where it's basically like, wow, this wasn't there before.
Right.
Pixel adds new features. Pixel makes things better over time, and I feel like what we see now, the Pixel Fold is going to be even better down the road. That's my approach. That's my feel into it, and why I feel like the
Sure.
approach is what. And that's why when I talk about tech, I try not to talk conversation specifically to dollars. It's just that everybody's main focus on is obviously it's an $1,800 foldable. And add tax to that, you're pretty much in the same ballpark. We can't ignore the fact that this is a Samsung manufactured SoC. Like Samsung's
Yeah.
in this game. We can't
Yeah.
ignore that, this is, Pixel powered by Samsung kind of a thing, powered by Galaxy. So we'll have to, I think this conversation is going to evolve. There's always going to
But
be the
that's
approach of that. You make
but that's what
great
I'm saying
points,
is
though.
like
Yeah,
I,
you make
I think
amazing
like
points on that side.
$1,800 is correct. That's an MSRP that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I feel like the consumer perception is one that is extremely emotional. And if you can't convince people that this is cool and kind of exclusive and something different, then they're not going to get on board. They're not going to get on board the idea, let alone if they even buy it. They're not going to think the idea is cool because that's really going to be the thing that moves a new product segment. Do consumers think it's cool? Do they think it's hip? Do they think it's fresh? Whatever the kids are saying, if it's fresh to death. So,
As long as they don't say it's mid, I'm fine.
right. Well, but if you can only conceptualize that conversation with tech enthusiasts, big bunny ear quotation marks around the word enthusiasts, because I don't know about your YouTube comments, but I've never seen techies less enthused about what's actually kind of cool in the market right now.
I had somebody
Then,
call the phone crap. The Pixel Fold. This phone is crap. Just wait for the. I responded back to him very clearly. I said, "I'm sorry. When you say this phone is crap, are you talking from personal experience or is it just by reading?"
I feel that the person who would leave that comment has already demonstrated that they are a lost cause.
Yeah.
Like, however much time you want to spend.
He corrected himself by saying, no, it's personally an opinion. I'm like, then don't make it sound like it's a fact.
No, I was walking into this with the ignorant confidence of someone who would never own the Z Fold anyway. But my team is Samsung. But this is the kind of just to bring all this home because I feel like we'll start circling our conversations here. You bring up points like, hey, this is a Tensor G2. We've got a hinge design that is very similar, very reminiscent of a couple other foldables out there. Z Fold brings Dex and S Pen to the table, where Google is going to be more about feature drops and assistant and AI and that kind of content
and
consumption.
processing. Yeah.
And some of those aspects too. I guarantee you, if the appropriate price for a Pixel as deemed by tech reviewers is less than the price of a phone and a tablet put together, that the OnePlus is going to get savaged. And the OnePlus will likely have a more powerful SoC and better charging capabilities.
And
Because it's a
I'm
OnePlus.
also, yeah, no, and it is, and I feel like the essence of OnePlus, Oxygen OS, and all the optimizations that they've done will carry over as well. I
Yeah, I mean,
hope
the OnePlus tablet does some things that the Pixel tablet can't do, and we're kind of running headlong into this. And I don't mean to be picking on you because you kind of said it, but I think this is a much bigger problem with the psychology and the philosophy of the entire tech space right now.
yeah, no, I'm with you.
we just saw an Asus video from Mr. Who's the Boss talking about why people don't buy small phones. And you're like, that's not, you're not the tastemaker. You react to the tastes of consumers. The tail is wagging the dog now. And channels think they have some kind of say or authority over what these things should cost, what features they should have. And that is now eclipsing the actual review process. Because to say the MSRP on a Pixel Fold is too high, it should have been lower, means you're not really looking at the Pixel Fold. You're looking at your perception and your bias about the Google brand label on the side of the box. And now that's going to carry over to that same reviewer's bias against the brand label of OnePlus on the side of the box. All of the people that have left me really aggressive comments on my Xiaomi coverage. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I'm using the Xiaomi 13 Ultra. I know this phone better than you do. And I can attest to how this display, well, it should have been cheaper. Who's going to use a phone that's like $1,300 just for the cameras? And you're like, but you don't say that about a $1,300 iPhone. And you don't say that about a $1,300 Galaxy. I don't see those comments on my Samsung videos. No one comes in and says, I mean, yeah, wait for a sale, but the MSRP should have been lower. Unless it's like, it kind of got a little bit of that on the Galaxy S22, not the S22 Plus or the S20 or the Ultras, but I got a little of it on the S22. So that's the main thing I'm trying to push back against, is this notion of techies thinking that the only acceptable comparison is Apple v Samsung, and then in Android land, it has to be a race to the bottom. Everyone else has to be working as aggressively as the companies can maintain to lower prices below profit margins. That's it.
And it's not sustainable.
It's the only acceptable conversation that techies entertain right now.
It's a tough one. No, I'm with you. We'll have to see how I would love to see how our yearly wrap up at the end of the year goes when we start seeing. So how is the market reacting to three foldables and two flip phones in the U.S. market for at least roughly about 6 months or so? Because again, the conversation right now is, I'll say this, it's exciting to see Google get into this space. I'm very excited to see OnePlus get into this space. But I'm also at the same time trying to see what is Samsung going to do this year different that makes the Z Fold 5 a unique device over the Z Fold 4. Because the Fold is coming into a market with two other players in there. They've been dominating, they're like, again, they've been dominating by existence, not dominating by the fact that they've been compared and dominated.
Well, and they haven't been dominating. The combined sales totals of Galaxy S and Galaxy Z. So that's, what, 5 phones? Galaxy S23, S23 Plus,
three S's
Note
and
23,
2 Z's.
And then Z Flip and Z Fold. All of those phones combined will sell less than the Galaxy S10.
Yeah, it is.
So the S10, S10e, S10, and
Plus.
S10, was it S10 Plus? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it was the
those
last time they
three
did Plus
phones
before they went Ultra on the 20.
will five models. So foldables and flippables have not made up the deficit of premium phone sales from the last true year of like LTE, like peak LTE devices.
Yeah.
So we're going to walk into this. Foldables are not going to get this done. Consumers are not going to flip and buy bending screens at a rate that replaces the premium Android market that we used to have 3 or 4 years ago. That's not going to happen. So what's going to happen is all those people are like, oh, let's wait and see. Nope, consumers didn't immediately jump on it and make it the most popular product segment. I guess it's a fail. That's what's going to happen, because that's all tech reviewers can kind of entertain now. Is what was the most, iPhone wins again. I mean, a single model of the iPhone outsold all of the Galaxy S phones. So I guess that's, the market has spoken. and that's what's galling, is because we allow no room for, I mean, because these are very expensive. Like I said about my Duo, in my Duo videos. These are really expensive betas. And I'm on board because I want to see where the train goes. But to kind of put this manufacturing and pricing idea into the minds of techies and then into the minds of consumers is horrifically disingenuous and is a distraction to actually talking about the product that eclipses talking about the product.
Yeah.
And that to me is what's kind of killing me right now. I'm not hot on foldables. If I'm going to spend over $1,000 on a phone, I want cameras that can displace my mirrorless and processing power that is accessible so I can leave my laptop at home.
Yeah.
And so far, no foldable can give me that.
We
Like,
haven't hit that.
I can't
No.
get it.
And
So
it's
foldables
hard.
do nothing for me right now, except for I leave my Duo 2 down in my kitchen, so I have a kitchen computer for looking up recipes and streaming people's podcasts and live streams and stuff. Like, that's what my Duo does.
Yeah, no,
That
I'm
is
with you.
way too expensive a device just for a kitchen computer.
You could have got a
So-
smart display, Juan. I'm like, but yeah, no,
I
sorry.
should have just gotten the Nest.
Dude.
So,
Dude, you
so again,
totally
Juan,
went to the
Juan
wrong
makes
aisle
poor
with this stuff.
choices.
I mean, if we wait long enough, everything we've
Hold
said,
on.
we can
Hold on.
definitely pull out.
I had let my stylus discharge, so now I'm just gonna write a dire entry in my Duo 2 about how TK. You said I make poor choices, and I don't know. I should just buy an Asus.
Wait, hold on. That's the other side. I'm gonna look really bad when I'm holding the pen backwards.
Dear
Diary.
OneNote,
Oh, dear
TK
Dear OneNote.
said.
I like that. Dear OneNote. Oh, it's not even Dear Diary. Oh my God, where have we gone?
It's like that Simpsons joke. Like, no, he's writing fan mail to the movie. Dear Die Hard.
Diary.
It was cool when you dropped that guy out the window.
No, I'm totally with you. I obviously conversation will have to continue. We'll have more conversations going around that. The only other thing I do want to talk about real
Ike
quick.
trying to call me out here. It's like, Juan, that is literally the perfect use case for a Nest Hub. Just saying, my friend. You're right. Except for the fact that where is my Duo right now? Is it down in my kitchen, Ike? Would I have moved my Nest Hub up to my office to also have it handy up here?
No, I'm with you. There is a lot of conversations going on with what we are able to do, and I feel like that's the conundrum that I'm in right now. I have, and I want to say, blessed in a certain aspect of it because I'm able to check all of those things out, and I'm able to come from a perspective that maybe somebody may not come from. But the overlapping functions that we have right now, Google's really trying to figure out where to put things in different perspectives.
Yeah.
The tablet is trying to be in between. It's not coming out as a tablet on its own, but I'm excited to see the functional aspects that we have in there, not from the hub portion, because I don't think other companies are going to create another Nest Hub. They're going to create more of the tablet UI level. The software optimizations, I'm hoping to see that transfer over to more devices, more tablets, more solutions like the ones that we've seen on our channels, TCL, in the past, other LG ones or even Alcatel ones as well. So those are the things I'm excited to see, and also Xiaomi's and all of those. The foldable experience right now is the game in the US is getting hotter. And I say that because we are finally getting some competitors. I would love to see how the market reacts. It is still very much a niche experience. It is not I walk into the store, it's like, hey, what is that thing at 1800? You walk into a foldable because you want to get it, because you feel like it's a value for the money that you're paying for it. That's the only reason. Techies and all of that stuff, early adopters, people that buy it at launch and all of that, outside of just true fans, that's what they are. They're techies and they're enthusiasts, and they want to be that first wave of beta and alpha users and go through it. We need to see some time onto this. This is not a conversation that can end today. It has to go through its own lifestyle. And this is how, when you talk about, the S10 and the S10 series, it still resonates many years later, how much that was like a shining point, like I want to say
that was peak premium Android, was the S10 year.
But it's almost like in the
Snapdragon
multiverse,
855.
it's like that's a decision, that's a factor point, right? That point in time needs to happen for Samsung to go where it was and where it came from. That's where we always remember them. But at some point, what we need to see is where's foldables and how that solution comes in. I have very good. I have very good hopes to what OnePlus. Sorry, I was going to say Oppo, but Oppo and OnePlus are going to bring into the market, and I'm glad that we're finally able to see fruits of that collaboration bring this type of hardware to us in the U.S. So for that, that's what I'm excited. Again, we have to kind of also we'll see how things go. But I agree with your statements. I think you made very good points, and I do agree with them. I'm not just saying that they're good points for the sake of that. It
I
just
feel this section got how do I want to say this? Um, this conversation that we had was primed by the reactions that we saw to the Zenfone 10,
yeah.
where I don't know how many times we as techies need to see the evidence of this. Every single time some other company comes out with something cool, it is immediately judged and assessed by the perceived value of the company's label. And I don't review purses. I am not that guy. I don't care about the label on a handbag or a wallet. I can't contribute to that conversation. That's not how my brain works. So instead of really reviewing the product for what it is, unless it's Apple or Samsung, this is mostly in North America. I feel like Europeans kind of get a little different flavor of this because they have broader competition at purchase for when they're buying their phones. But specifically for North America, we're not reviewing the product for what it is. We're reviewing the brand's label for what it is not. And it is not an Apple label or a Samsung label. So immediately, North American consumers hoop jump to say it should have been cheaper, because that's the only benefit another company can bring to the table, is making something cheaper. I mean, if you don't want to own a Samsung, you could like one of those other phones and you'll get a good deal on them, and they might be even cheaper. And the perception is not reflective of the reality of using all these different products. So when I hear that commentary, the only thing I can assume is those other people didn't really use the product,
No,
because
and
they can't comment beyond it should have been cheaper, or I was using the phone, but when you swipe away a notification, it swipes in one direction, and that's going to confuse consumers. Like in your notification shade, why can I swipe it away from left to right, but I can't swipe it away from right to left?
yeah.
But that's an important part of my review, not what it can do. But I got stuck on this one notification. My average people who are too dumb to figure out how like socks work, they won't be able to figure out swiping away a notification, because that's a very critical part of UI design. This game is done. YouTube is screwing us if you spend time to actually like investigate the usage of how these products work. If you don't have the hot take on day one, your video's dead. And the only thing that makes sense for YouTube is to tell iPhone owners that they made the right choice, because that's algorithmically very popular.
And it is. It does get more they're able to agree with themselves a lot faster than most others. No, I'm with you.
A lot of back padding there.
No,
So,
for sure. I do want to real quickly before we kind of get, because we're getting a little bit over the 2 hour mark.
a little over, yeah.
The Liberty 4 NC just came out today, so they're finally available on the market, and a truly new experience of at least what Soundcore is trying to do. They actually they're trying to provide us a solution that gives you better active noise cancellation that is supported by hardware and software, as you can imagine, and the typical, and I'm not going to say typical, but like the tried and true audio experience that we get from Soundcores, and definitely a little bit more pronounced bass, mids and highs are good, but it's definitely more of the, I call them the headbanger type of song playback, and of course really crazy long battery life on this thing, like 10 hours on a single pair of buds fully charged. So if you have some time, check out the video. Dropped it off this morning, and I think Jeff, I'll have a review as well, dropped his version of it as well. There's a few people that have put out the video today. It's always nice to see updates, and this is something a little bit different because this is not the Liberty 4s. This is the Liberty 4 NC, and also not the Pro. So there is a slightly difference in the delineation and the numeric function, but wireless charging, fast charging, long battery life. You can't really ask for more, and they sound great. LDAC support,
Yeah.
multi-device support. Although not with LDAC, that I still don't understand why they can't do that. But
So that one I've been trying to dig into because I found that was confusing too, and I think it's something to do with the current spec of Bluetooth.
and they use 5.4
When
if I'm
you
not mistaken. Yeah.
right. But when you when you keep a heartbeat to multiple devices, you are using something in Bluetooth 5.4 that is currently not working well with LDAC as a codec. And so previously, when we've seen LDAC products that could do multi-point, it was some kind of proprietary solution. It wasn't a part of the Bluetooth SIG.
Okay.
The special interest groups actual specification for the Bluetooth spec. So that I think is going to be something where I want to say LDAC came out sometime around the LGV30. Someone please correct me if I'm way off there. I mean, in consumer products, like it started shipping sometime around there. I know LDAC was developed before it actually made it out to consumers. But over that period of time, I think this is the first time we'll need to see Sony actually address part of LDAC as a specification. They might need to work with the Bluetooth SIG better to get those kinds of features working. I was really happy to see your Soundcore because I did actually publish my Between 3 video. We talked about these either last week or the week before.
Yeah.
And they're so good, but they tap out at AAC. And I want multi-point and higher premium audio codecs and all of this support and multi-drivers and big bass and like we still haven't quite landed all of the pieces to kind of all fit together. So I feel like we're probably going to need to see yet another generation of Bluetooth earbuds next year before, you know, like aptX lossless and multi-point and low power Bluetooth 5.4,
All
and,
come
like
together.
where all of those things get stuck together so that we can really kind of step up the
Yeah.
premium side of Bluetooth earbuds.
But with that, you know, to me, for what they were offering and I always like to call it the bang for the buck type of a solution that Soundcore always offers. They definitely deliver, and they will not disappoint. For under $100
Yeah.
solution, I think
Oh, yeah.
you're definitely looking at the top of the tier here in the stack that we get typically under that experience. And the battery life, I have not been able to. The longest stretch that I was able to use these was about 4.5 hours. And that was mixed between, and when I say stretch, I mean, even though I took them out of my ears, I didn't put them back in the case. So the charge was always continuous. Never got the chance to be able to get 10 hours out of each earbud. But I never could even figure out when it got to that point. Every time I checked the battery percentage, it was still over 50%.
Yeah.
Dang. So
Yeah.
from that aspect, for me, especially when we traveled and stuff like that, long flights, you know, going to the East Coast and coming back, I don't want to have to worry about my buds dying out, and this is
Yeah.
not going to disappoint. So it's definitely very nice, good solution available starting today actually from Soundcore, and yeah, that was primarily. I don't think there's a lot to cover. Check out the video. It's over on the main channel, of course. Let me know what you guys think. And as well, please make sure to check out Jeff, El Jefe Reviews, because he dropped his video as well. Because I think
He's
as
the
always,
GOAT.
we always, yeah, absolutely. You gotta recognize the talent, and the man got the talent. But with that being said, I do want to say thank you to everybody for hanging out with us on this beautiful, it's going to be a really hot day in Southern California. Yeah, I didn't want to break the news at the beginning of the show. I felt like if I started with the hot temperature, people were going to be like, "Whew, it's just too hot stuff. Let me leave." Hope you guys have a great afternoon. Hope you have a great day. You know, again, thanks to my co-host Juan and everybody else taking their time, giving us part of their time to hang out with us and listen to two old nerds just chatting about stuff. You know, googly stuff. No, say stuff in general. We'll see you guys hopefully next week for another episode for the best of our week. And from now till then, make sure to catch Mr. Juan Carlos Bagnell on the SGGQA on Mondays, or in the mornings, so to be able to catch up on the news and what's going on in the interwebs of technology. Be safe, stay safe. We'll talk to you guys next week.